Good morning and Merry Christmas. December 18th, 2023 work session of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Welcome, citizens. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, sir. District 1 Commissioner Ricky Dobbs.
Present.
District 3 Vice Chair Commissioner Terenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
Here. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made?
Yes, Chairman. The MOU, CSB board. Further explain this. It's going to be an MOU. Understand that there's still $500,000 that's yet to be dispersed to the board, and we've already approved another $225,000 award for 2024. This MOU, a disbursement of these funds, which $150,000 be dispersed on 31st of this year. Another $250,000 will be dispersed on March 31st of 2024. Another $225,000 will be dispersed on June 30th of 2024. At this time, quarterly reporting back to Finance Department and the board, and at that time we will take it up to further see about funding the CSB board. I make a motion.
Second.
We're voting to add it to the agenda. Yes, sir.
Clerk, will it be added? Business items? Where are we?
I will add them to under business items.
It will become business.
If y'all, excuse me, Commissioner,
I have the floor, Commissioner Dobbs.
I was just gonna say, can you all talk into the mics? Because here on the feed here, I can hear every other word from both you and Commissioner Alcaraz.
He's asking that you speak into the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Whenever y'all, both you and both Commissioner Alcaraz don't speak into the mic, the feed goes in and out, both here on this and on the Facebook.
He says it's going in and out.
So,
if you don't speak directly.
So it will be added as a business item number.
I guess we'll make it item number 24. At the very end of the business items.
Okay, so we have a business item number 24, MOU with CSB. And this will be discussed by Commissioner Alcaraz. Have a second. Chair, I give the floor back to you.
All in favor?
And my right hand is raised also.
In favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Under each commissioner will make remarks. Clerk, did we have anyone sign up?
Yes, sir. We had several individuals sign in. So before I call you up, I will just remind everyone you have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, I will remind you to wrap up your comment. And when you reach the podium, if you could please adjust the mic and speak directly into the mic. So our first individual that signed in is Jocelyn Wallace.
Morning.
Good morning. Jocelyn Wallace, 8380 Grady Street. My name is Jocelyn Wallace, and I'm a lifelong resident here of Douglas County and the founder and executive director of the Never Alone Clubhouse Addiction Recovery Support Center. I stand before you today to shed light on the true impact of withholding funding from the Douglas County Community Service Board. Having been a recipient of both state and federal grant funding, I understand the significance of rigorous data reporting and the absolute importance of financial documentation. It is noteworthy that the CSB has undergone state audit with no findings of misappropriation of funding. However, misconception persists that withholding funding from the CSB would not affect services provided to our Douglas County residents. As the director of the Douglas County Behavioral Health Team stationed at Station 7 within the fire department, I want to ensure you that you are armed with inaccurate information. And I want to make sure that you have that accurate information before you vote. Our team responds to all behavioral health calls in our community, addressing crises related to mental health or substance abuse. We offer on-site connection to services and ongoing support for a minimum of 2 years. The direct impact of withholding funding would cost our community this vital program. As the end of November, we have handled 1,986 calls. We have made 844 referrals to services. We have diverted 573 cases from the emergency room departments and provided 183 referrals to substance use treatment and 259 referrals to peer support. These numbers represent more than statistics. They are our neighbors, our families, and our friends. Voting to withhold any funding would hurt our community deeply. I implore each of you to seek a common ground that preserves these essential services. I don't speak for myself alone. I advocate for all families impacted by substance use disorder and co-occurring mental health issues. Removing these services from our underinsured and uninsured would only cost us lives. Let us collectively find a solution that safeguards the well-being of our community members. I also implore you to place principles over personalities in this situation. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Our next citizen is Patty Wink.
Morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm one of those families. 8 years ago, 3 o'clock in the morning on June 10th, I received a call from my daughter screaming, "He's gone." The last vision that my daughter had of her 23-year-old son was him hanging in his bedroom. No family should ever have to go through this. I'm also on the board for the CSB. I'm on the board for the Never Alone Clubhouse. I'm part of working for mental health, and I know all of you are also. We cannot lose the funding. We cannot lose the funding that's owed. We cannot lose the funding that needs to come up. No family should ever have to go through this forever journey of suicide. One of the ones helping at the Youth Innovation Center contacted me one day and said, "We have had 2 of our youth that have attempted suicide. We need somebody to help with grief counseling." How many others have thought of it? We're losing too many. We can take care of our roads, we can fill our businesses, but we're losing the community and the people in this community that could be doing and working those jobs. Please, don't make this personal. Make this something professional so that you can have an accolade as far as the community. I would not want to be the one that voted no and then had to answer to a parent or a grandmother that had to go through what I'm living through now. Prayerfully, please. The Bible says that we're to come together and work together as a unit, sit down and talk through everything. Has that been done?
Thank you, Ms. Desiree. I'm sorry. Ms. Desiree Garnett. And just to remind everyone, please restate your name and address when you reach the podium.
Desiree Garrett, 8380 Grady Street, on behalf of Judge Peggy H. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners report for the Douglas County Community Services Board. Please accept my apologies for not being able to speak in person today as I am completing a trial from last week in Fulton County Juvenile Court. I wish to address a timely topic of mental health and financial support from the county to enhance services. I have worked passionately in this field for more than 30 years. When mental health reform was initiated in the 1980s, the state shut down mental health hospitals with a promise to use those funds for community mental health. That promise remains unfulfilled and our citizens suffer. Many members of our homeless population have some form of mental illness and need treatment. Our jails and prisons are filled with individuals who struggle with substance use and mental illness. We have seen increased rates of violence in our nation, state, and community. Suicide deaths have increased among our very young children, our teens, our young adults, and our aging population. Our overdose rates have also been devastating to children and families. Now is not the time to step back, it is the time to step up. Douglas County has always stepped up to the challenge. Law enforcement is well trained on crisis intervention to prevent unnecessary deaths and protecting the community and managing adults and children in crisis. I have been honored to assist in teaching this course and supporting the compassionate approach law enforcement takes to this fragile population through many administrations. Our Community Services Board has achieved national recognition for its residential treatment program for substance using mothers making a change in their children, which began on the Street property. I was honored as an attorney to help the CSB negotiate the purchase of this property, securing financing and close on the property. I served on the advisory council with many former commissioners, fighting fiercely for our 15% of the joint Douglas-Cobb budget prior to our establishment of an independent community service board. Access to mental health is critical to a healthy, safe community such as Douglas County. Substance use is a continuing challenge, but I am reminded every year, especially during the holiday season, of how many parents achieve recovery with the help of outpatient and/or residential services provided by the Community Services Board. Last week, a Douglas County peer specialist set up a video call to have a parent tell me she now has 53 months sober. She looked wonderful and is now working in the recovery community. Her success is not possible without a wide array of substance use services. The Douglas County Services Board won the 2022 award for Regional Behavioral Health Provider. The board is CARF accredited and works to provide individualized services and aftercare for those who transition from institutions back into our community. Another important aspect of these services is supported employment. I want to share a remarkable story of a mother with acute mental illness served by the CSB. She was able to become stable through medical management. She was able to maintain 2 jobs to allow her to purchase her own home. Her success is not possible without community-based support. I also want to take a moment to thank you for the contribution the Board of Commissioners made to infant mental health and providing funding for Douglas County to train a cohort of therapists in child parent psychotherapy. One of the participants testified as an expert witness last week in the trial I am finishing today. She has now completed her 3rd phase of training to enable her to supervise other therapists to expand the availability of relationship-based therapy. Again, this could not have been accomplished without the forward thinking on mental health that Douglas County has demonstrated. Please continue to support the Douglas County Community Services Board with full financial commitment to the well-being of our very vulnerable population, the mentally ill. Help us fight the stigma of mental illness. Help us promote and enhance mental health, continue easy access to services, including the pharmacy operated by the Douglas County Community Services Board. We cannot allow the inhumanity of homelessness and incarceration arising from mental illness. Community-based mental health services work to stabilize, support, and enable those with mental illness to function successfully and productively. Thank you for your service, your time, your attention, your love, and dedication to this community. Let us never forget those who need us most, our children, our families, and our very vulnerable mentally ill citizens. Sincerely, Peggy H. Walker.
Our next speaker is Gwendolyn Parker.
Good morning. My name is Gwendolyn Parker. I reside at 4380 Split Creek Drive. I rise in support of no funding cuts for CSB. My mother impressed upon me certain values that have shaped my life and stayed with me. Do not hate. Love and hate take the same amount of your energy. So choose wisely how you expend it. Be a champion for the underdog. The world will never have enough. Before COVID, going way back to the Reagan administration, when they started closing mental health hospitals and putting people on the American street, which led to a mental health crisis that we are still dealing with today, and it has grown worse, not better. During and after COVID, the COVID epidemic, it became greater. The country is flooded with drugs. Drugs are more plentiful than food for addicts, as well as first-time experimental mentors. What the country does not have is plenty of access to services to deal with the crisis. I am grateful every day that there, for the grace of God, go I, blessed. We are all in need of prayer, but what we need most is compassion. During COVID, there was isolation, there was death, there was fear, there was a lack of basic goods and services, rising prices, and an anxiety of not knowing what would come next. The strong-willed and strong-minded, the healthy, made it through. But for some, the mountain was too steep to climb. CSB is what we have here in Douglas County, to say and show we care for the least among us, as the teachings of the Christ challenged us. As my mother asked me to be a champion for the underdog, our brothers and sisters in need, I stand here today asking CSB to be fully funded with no cuts in services for people unable to advocate for themselves. Please do not let bureaucratic red tape be the enemy of good and stand in the way of helping Douglas County citizens in need when we clearly have the resources to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just state, all you people interested, and we are too, Mr. Lightford and I, along with commissioners up here, since meeting communicated, we have reached an agreement I believe is satisfactory to both of us. I don't want to see services cut either. You can't hear me? I have a nephew been missing for 2.5 years, heroin addict. His family and us had him in about every treatment program I'm in, and it just didn't work. But if we keep trying, and finally that day that individual decides I can't take this anymore, then we've got a chance to help people. So none of us want this to go away, and it's not going away. Problem with accounting, the problem with our software and their software. Those things have been solved, I believe, and I believe that that in the future, the Douglas County's participation in CSB at least as much or even more than it is. I just wanted to say that to you because I don't know if you know that. We've all up here agreed to some terms to get us back on track and in the right. Next.
Our next speaker is Anita McMurray.
Morning.
Morning. The board, citizens of, I'm Anita McMurtry, 7102 Skipping Stone Way, and I'm a proud deputy coroner for the coroner's office. Speaking on behalf of the coroner's office, so far as our individual pay, we currently only receive $175 as a stipend for our services. And I would like to first say that I'm a very proud servant of the coroner's office. I'm proud of what I do. I'm a practitioner of criminal justice for over 15 years, death investigation. And so I take special pride, especially in with what one of the citizens mentioned about grief. And so that's one thing that we do in the coroner's office is provide services to families when they're grieving, as well as other, I would say, very important services that we provide individually, which I will state as support for an increase in our pay. First, I would like to say that we oftentimes service our citizens in very unsanitary and unsafe conditions. Dark homes with no electricity, steep hills to navigate as we move bodies from homes. We also have to manage irritable, sometimes and distraught family members who are grieving. We perform duties in adverse weather conditions. For example, having to manually move traffic. I don't know if anyone remembers the traffic incident on I-20 where the truck driver overturned his entire load in the middle of I-20 back in, I think it was August or September. But I literally had to maneuver traffic to get the truck to the decedent so we could then help GSP continue to do their work. But that's just another example of the work that we do that can be very, very heavy. Roaches, rats, other animals, depending on the case, decomposed bodies, houses where the floor and structures are literally falling apart. I had to work with our fire department, who was absolutely amazing, by the way, and we had to remove a decedent who was over 300 pounds, and we had to remove her from a home where the structure was literally falling apart. Firemen also had to help me not to hurt myself because the structure of her porch, as well as inside the home, were literally caving in. We have to find childcare and lose money oftentimes from our full-time jobs because cases are not guaranteed while we're on call. We have to lift bodies over 300 pounds, often with only one other person to assist. And even after our call week is over, we must sign death certificates, attend CFR meetings, communicate with funeral homes, hospitals, and families, again, with no compensation. And we are mandated to attend an annual training at GIPSTIC where there is no compensation yet again for time taken from work or finding childcare to attend. So again, this is by no means a complaint. I'm very proud of what I do. I just ask that the county be considerate in the pay and just considering increasing that pay and also some of the resources so we can continue to proudly serve the citizens of Douglas County. Thank you.
Our next citizen speaking is Sharon Bachtel.
Sharon Bachtel, can you hear me? 6331 South Sheriff Mill. Thank you for allowing me.
Do that a lot.
I'm glad to. I am a conservative woman who believes that God put us on this earth to help each other. To me, this is what the CSB embodies, taking care of our community members who need help. In April of 2022, Governor Kemp signed Senate Bill 403, a bill sponsored by our own Senator Dugan, which states that community service boards will partner with local peace officers in mental health emergencies. They help de-escalate serious situations with the mentally handicapped. CSB increases public safety by helping and working with the mentally handicapped and those suffering from addiction. According to the BOC Citizen Survey, the citizens want the commissioners to prioritize public safety. How can you say you are doing that if you take away funds? We had a recent shooting in Douglas County, close to my home. One person was killed and a deputy sheriff was wounded by someone with mental health issues. It seems that every time there's a shooting, the liberals blame the guns and the conservatives blame mental health. So as a conservative, I say we should be giving the CSB more money for mental health, not less. According to the finance director at the budget public hearing, there were 3 groups who had not turned in receipts. Why weren't those 2 budgets cut? Why did Landmark Consulting, who was supposed to be monitoring ARPA funds, wait a year to start worrying about receipts? Their contract began in September of 2022, and they did not consult with the CSB until July of 2023. What were they doing to get paid those other 11 months? In November, this commission made a resolution to support mental health. Were those just words to be ignored? I believe the CSB will provide the needed receipts. Their full funds should be included in this budget. Otherwise, you are not upholding your policy of basing your budget on the previous year's revenues. I ask you to please fully fund the CSB in this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Pastor Darrell Mauman. Did I pronounce that right?
Morning to
Morning. You.
you this morning, pastor of Old Mountaintop Baptist Church in Winston, Georgia. Just a couple things I have to say. Does a wonderful job in making a lot of things. Does his job well, above whatever have been done in the past. There are things given back to 85%. 85% of the budget. It's amazing that we have the audacity to cut his budget. I don't understand why you want to cut. I have a problem with how you cut the coroner budget. Problem how you cut the probate judge budget. I have a problem used to see out these people that's doing for this county. Your job is to see about. It's amazing that you got a wonderful costs $40,000 and to know where to keep it. Oh, keep the money there for a tree, but the problem with the tree, it's an empty tree. It's sad to have a Christmas tree empty. Sad that there's no money that comes to the worker here in Douglas County. This time y'all signed it off. Nobody get no bonus to help them in Christmas. And you got a Christmas tree out there, but it's empty. It's empty because you decided to cut it. What good is a Christmas tree when there's no gifts under there? These people that work here just need a little help in the bonus of what you respect their work that could help them put some gifts under that tree. You spend thousands of dollars to keep the tree, and they don't have nowhere to put it. You have to pay for wherever you put it. Shame, and I have to say to the administrator and to the interim chairman that it's amazing all these years they've been getting their little bonus. I know the last 70 years or so that I knew of. And then y'all get here. The first year, getting here interim administrator, and all of a sudden the budget get cut. But your folk get $40,000 a month. Our lawyer get $800,000+ a year. And you cut budget of these people that talk about what they need in community. Reagan was so great to some of us, but he the one closed down all the mental places. But could he see how it looked from his grave? How people are laying on the street anywhere they could lay because of his so-called great. And I want to say to you all, it's a sad day. Stop caring. That help this county go forward. We in the best place we ever been. Interim. I call it interim because he's the interim chairman. He's not the chair. The interim don't change no policy. Interim don't do and change anything. They deal with what's already there. Don't change nothing. That's not your power. But he think he's supposed to change things. An administrator trying to keep his dollar. The lawyer, he's a nice guy. Both of them black. But I ain't interested in black or white. I'm interested in right. Slavery is over.
Thank you. Our next speaker, and I apologize, I can't make out the last name. Robin?
Just a
Can you
minute.
repeat your name when you get to the podium?
Just a minute, clerk.
Sorry.
Hold just 1 second. Our tax commissioner, $393,000 left over in his budget. Had $410,000. Supposed to raise his budget. Thought.
Robin, you can go ahead and speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. I wasn't sure if that was working. Robin Soniaga Ortega, 6703 Live Oak Lane. I'm here to talk about the budget process in general, and I think some of the things that we've been talking about is just on the surface of what's wrong with what's going on. I think the whole process this year, not only the Community Service Board issues are just wrong. I mean, we know that the Community Service Board had no findings budget, which is the penultimate proof that they are good stewards of our county funds. And we just heard that they're not completely responsible for the ARPA problem we're having. I don't think they should be held accountable for that. We should just give them back their $1 million in the budget the way they should have been funded originally. I'm glad that you come up with some kind of an arrangement with them, but really we never should have gotten to this. Second, everything I'm hearing is that the budget was created without in-depth meetings with the county department. That's the contracted financial employees apparently decided what each department's budget should be for 2024, which is very poor practice. At minimum, we should be adjusting the tax commissioner's office budget and adding the $217,000 that they require to do a good job in 24. After all, they're the ones that can actually collecting the money that you spend, and they're doing a very, very good job of it. So I wouldn't bite the hand that feeds. Finally, the budget commingled temporary federal grant funds with general funds. That's a terrible accounting practice and against county rules. You wonder, Chair, at one point why citizens were saying the budget for Connect Douglas was being cut. Well, if you look at the published budget summary, it shows a more than 40% reduction. Why? Because federal grant funds, temporary federal grant funds, were commingled with the 2020 general fund. Should never have been done. And any hint that a valuable service like Connect Douglas is being cut will definitely elicit concern from those that it serves, because we don't want to see it go away. And their new master plan, which I think they're going to talk to you about later this week, and all of us heard about a couple of weeks ago, is wonderful and will move the county forward. Funded. Ultimately, this all comes down to very bad county management from the chair on down. One solution that should be considered immediately Post the position for a new county administrator. That was in the contract to begin with. The current contracted arrangement with Terminus just isn't working. Post the position immediately and start a search.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Jesse Nation.
Morning.
Yes, good morning, Chairman, Chair, staff. My name is Jesse Nation. I reside at 1621 Doris Road, and I'm here to speak cuts to the Douglas County Community Service budget also. And yes, the CBS serves veterans, our youth, and others in the community in need of counseling and mental health services. So, you saying that the board is being derelict in their duties? In fact, there is evidence that they are doing a great job for the county. And the Douglas County CBS has high scores on this annual 2023 Quality Enhancement Provider Review with an overall score of 97%. In 2023, 800 to 1,000 citizens per month have used outpatient medical services. They operate the Douglas County Reentry Program initiated by Sheriff Pound to lower rates of recidivism and help the previously incarcerated transition. The Youth Innovation Center serves about 100 youth each month. They work with the unhoused, they work with the veterans. They are on the front line of the opioid overdose crisis in the county, and so much more. They need the 1.2 million budget allocation originally requested. These services could be interrupted. So please, I beseech you, do right by the citizens instead of acting like the IRS. You will get the receipts for your audit without penalizing the citizens of the county. And to your previous remarks, Mr. Chair, I inferred from your remarks that you and the county and the board do support the CSP, so I hope I got that correct from your remarks. So again, we just ask you to please consider that budget, because they definitely need each and every dollar that they receive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Darlene Sheridan.
Morning.
Morning. My name is Darlene Sheridan, 3436 Spring Ridge Drive, Douglasville. Been a resident since 2001, and I'm the executive director for the Midway Community Resource Center. So we're real active. Most people know our pantry, our community garden, but we're also real involved in we are one of the 4 or 5 people who go into jail weekly, and I do what I hope is spiritual awareness. Now, saying all that, we will be working closely with CSB, and I want to be here. I'm here in support of CSB. We want to make returning citizens coming out as much as possible. At the MCRC, which is the Midway Community Center, we are the only station of hope here in Douglas County. So we are expanding our services. In January, we are beginning to start taking healthy food to the CSB, work closely with. So all of these different groups together, we have tiptoed around each other, but work together. CSB allow us to work I'm in support for the CSB. Also, as our county grows, social services really to be. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if it's a policy that's done later on. When these new communities come in, is there ever a time where they consider all these additional services? Again, I'm in support for the CSB. Our motto at MCRC is love and action by helping, connecting, and serving. And that's what I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey Thomas.
Morning, Corey.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Board of Commissioners, and also citizens of Douglas County. Corey Thomas, out at 29 Beaumont Road. I'm a co-founder of an organization called Veterans Molding Minds. I've been working alongside the CSB and really has been very impactful. But before I go into my story, I want to say thank you to all the Board of Commissioners who go into understanding what the CSB is all about. Alcarez and Arthur, thank you for really going above and beyond to really express how you felt about it to push the vote, and that's why we're here today. Serving 23 years in the military, I've watched a lot of people pass. Tour to Iraq, I had 23 citizens pass on side of me that resided in the state of Georgia, Georgia Army National Guard. And as I transitioned out, one thing that I felt in my heart was to get with an organization that would prevent death, that could save a lot of our citizens from not just the community, but themselves. So the CSB has done that. I've watched weekly, the increase of clients. We're talking 20 new clients a week in to get services at the CSB. That's a lot of people that's coming in to really try to help themselves. I've also taken the time to understand if we defund the CSB, here's who will be impacted. We have a youth innovation center, a family resource center, of course the Douglas County CSB, and then our co-responder program, which now puts safety in alignment with protecting lives within our community. So I say to you all, I appreciate your efforts, appreciate everything that we've been through. I'm sure you're gonna all make the right decision as far as what right looks like in your hearts. And I would just like to say, please put your hearts in this vote, not the politics. Y'all have an amazing day.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Anthony Britt.
Morning. Good morning to the chair and commissioners, staff. Yes. My name is Anthony Britt. I had 716 Absford. I'm concerned about the fact that we still have administrator of the county is responsible for operating, responsible for all of those. January this year, we signed a contract with Terminus to provide. As far as I know, we have done nothing in the county permanent. This is, like, to me, it's outrageous. Like we said, okay, now we got the interim thing is okay. We don't have to worry about it. Well, I think we made us really. I think we need to move as fast as possible, find another chief administrator. Also make sure that we vet whoever we get as the person that we vet. The reason I say this was Mr. Corbin, I don't even know as far as his background. He worked contract with the city of Warner Robins. During that time, according to the mayor, that time, purchased services for Warner Robinson out the of the mayor or the council outside of the contract. That's a no-no. That's just red flags and everything out to everyone. I don't know whether this guy was vetted. History was vetted. Shirley Franklin became mayor of the city of Atlanta. She said that questionable accounting practices after Mr. Corbin left. I believe that in looking for any county administrator, that Mr. Corbin not be considered. We've already heard, how do you budget? Absolutely. I'm not a budget person. I'm not an accountant. I know better than that. So basically what I'm hearing, what happened, what they would call swag, my expression, scientific wild ass guess how we put a budget together. That's just incredulous. County the size, Douglas County, moving forward, county, a budget process, really not a budget. It's like the county administrator, all of a sudden, damn, time to put the budget together, and I haven't even done anything. Try to get something together. We have to do better than that, county. So my suggestion is that we move post haste, find permanent county executive that works directly for the county, not a contractor, someone that works. Number two, thoroughly vet that person. A lot of this stuff, all you have to do is.
Mr. Britt, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up your comments.
What do you say? All you got to do is.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. James White. Must not be in attendance any longer. That concludes our speakers, Chairman.
All right, thank you everybody for your comments. We work for you, listen to you. We may not always agree with you, listen to you, make our decisions. Comments are. On our agenda, commissioners, please have a financial We will now begin with the agenda items. Clerk, please begin with the agenda item.
Yes, Chairman. Number 4, under resolutions, we have the 2024 budget adoption that was tabled on December 5th, 2023. Rosalind Miller is here to answer any questions.
Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning.
So as you have heard, we have a lot of talk about the CSB. I'll just get right to it. And the budget for the I'm gonna take it back one. The budget for 2023 that Douglas County passed this time last year, that budget amount was for how much?
1.2.
1.2 for CSB. Of that 1.2 that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners unanimously 5-0 gave to CSB, how much of that has been allocated to CSB as of this date?
Well, there's a remaining of $500,000
So to this date, 700,000 has been given to them.
That is
for
correct.
2023.
That is correct.
So what are we doing with the $500,000 that has not been allocated to them?
I believe that was added to the agenda this morning.
This morning.
Or
As-
was it? Was it MOU? Was it? Is that true? Nothing was added to the
Excuse me, Commissioner, the 500,000 is currently sitting on balance 23 budget.
So if it's currently sitting in fund balance, why has it not been allocated since today's date is December 18th?
And that's due to the receipts based off of the $1 million.
Due to what receipt?
Reconciling that account, the federal government account.
Okay, so I just really want to be clear. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners unanimously decided to give them $1.2 million. That had nothing to do with federal dollars that came out of our general fund. So I don't want to conflate the two. As you've heard, some of our citizens have already said that those accounting practices are not good accounting practices. So I don't want to conflate the two. The $1.2 million was not ARPA. The $1.2 million was from the general fund that the taxpayers paid to the county and that the tax commissioner collected, right? And that we as the Board of Commissioners allocated through appropriating. So again, the $500,000 that Dr. Corbin just said is sitting in the general fund. I'm going to ask, because you are the finance director, why has that not been allocated to CSB?
I received direction not to disperse the funds until we resolve the federal fund account to make sure that we've received all documentation that is needed.
Okay, so again, federal dollars is not what's in question here. It is the appropriation that we gave you all direction to do. So no one should come behind the Board of Commissioners and then give another directive if a board 5-0 unanimously stated, this is what you appropriate. I think that's where I am having an issue. And I've stood on that. I've said it for the past month, that CSB's 1.2 million is different from the ARPA federal funding that we appropriated to them. And we should not conflate the two. So I would ask the interim chairman to please, again, uphold what we did as a 5-0 unanimous board and ensuring that today a check is cut for $500,000 to go to CSB. It has nothing to do with federal funds. I am asking that. We have it. That was before you got here, Chairman Miller. That should be appropriated. We should not go back on what we have already appropriated for CSB. Now, 2024's budget is different. That's what we have before us. But I want to make sure we as a board uphold our MOU with CSB. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to advocate for that, because I don't want to go back on my word as a commissioner when I voted. Every vote that I take, I can stand on. And I can tell you that my yes is yes for this and my no is no for this. So I want to ensure that we are upholding our MOU that we signed with CSB for $1.2 million to come out of the general fund. Has nothing to do with ARPA federal funding. Chairman Miller, can you ensure us that that $500,000 will be released today to go to CSB?
I can tell you this, that I've never told anybody to hold $500,000.
Well, it's great.
I have never told anybody to hold $500,000. I have listened to our accountants, our people, our grant people, Landmark. They have all advised us accounting. Now, if you were Board of Commissioners and your finance people, grants people, and your accounting people, and consultant people, they all said the issues. What we were trying to do, I think, get CSB in compliance And until Saturday noon, Ray Langford and I had never talked other than me participating in a meeting where our county administrator talked to Mr. Langford about seats. Once Mr. Langford Saturday, we came to an agreement, and he was very cordial, and I was very cordial. I think we came to an agreement, but if you're pointing the finger at me saying I took
Thank you for that. So I'm pointing the finger at the 5-0 board who appropriated the 1.2 million, and of that only 700,000 has been allocated and $500,000 has not. So what I'm asking is that you can go ahead and carry out what the 5-0 board appropriated for them. So since you didn't withhold the $500,000, then I'm hoping that you stand in agreement with me when I give the directive to Ms. Miller that the $500,000 should be released as of today. If it is in the general fund, which Dr. Corbin stated it was, then it should be released because we've already appropriated. To not appropriate it and to not cut the check would then be making the 5-0 vote that we decided to give them invalid and void. And that is not what we want. So, again, I hope you're in agreement with me.
Well, I'm in agreement that we're going to vote on it tomorrow, and I think that most everybody will be pleased with what happened.
So, Chairman, I think, again, there's a confusion. A 5-0 board already voted to appropriate. That was before you got here. So I'm asking that that 5-0 vote be carried out, period. Has nothing to do with 2024's budget, which we are going to get into. But again, we don't want to make MOUs and we as a Board of Commissioners renege on that MOU. That is not good business practice.
I haven't reneged on anything.
Great. So then, Ms. Miller, I believe the CSB should be receiving a check today, which is sitting in the general fund for $500,000 to close out the MOU for 2023 that the Board of Commissioners appropriated. Any questions?
I would have attorney and based off of day-to-day operation.
There is no day-to-day operations. We are the Board of Commissioners. We are the Board of Commissioners. The MOU that we gave the attorney to sign, that Madam Chair signed, and then Ray Lightfoot signed, already gave that directive, period. So again, a check should be released today for $500,000 to satisfy the 2023 MOU.
My understanding is that there's been no decision made that the $500,000 will not be given to. My understanding is that because there were some concerns raised about possible exposure of the county with respect to other funds, there was a possibility the county should have some exposure. Money was held pending as a possible set-off, which is appropriate. However, I now understand that there's been arrangement made. We'll resolve the question of so that it will be given to them. Parties, as I understand, agreement with respect to that hasn't been denied to them.
Attorney Coleman, with all due respect, the MOU that the board signed should have been carried out before we ever got to this. So, I respect you, but I differ with what you're saying.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
But that's my understanding.
Got you. And since I have you on the day of speaking, has there been any documentation that has been presented to you that this board is possibly going to be dinged in any findings with CSB or any other organization? Has anything been presented to you? Have you received a contract, documentation, something that you should have brought to the board to state that the board could possibly be at risk?
No, nothing's been presented to me. It's been simply just the understanding compliance with results.
So since nothing has been brought to you, I have not seen anything. I don't think any of my other board members have seen anything in regards to CSB not being in compliance, then I'm not understanding where all of this is coming from. Again, I believe that the check should be cut today for the $500,000 so that CSB can continue to carry out the services that we as the Board of Commissioners appropriated for them for 2023. Yes, Ms. Miller. You don't have to confer with anybody. I'm standing here telling you. Everybody's a witness. That MOU needs to be carried out.
And true, no one's saying that it's not going to be carried out, but directing to pay it today. When we're here, you state that you haven't seen anything, but that's what I'm here for, is to let you know that there is a problem. And so I am just following the federal guidelines. I'm not making anything up. I don't want to find anything. I'm just stating that I know that if $1 is spent in federal funds, I have to know why. And right now, we don't. And so to protect the county, we're not just looking at this grant and their $1 million. We're looking at the $28 million that the county received, plus all of our other federal for accountability court. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about losing funding if we're not correct and having the receipts for this one. For all the other grants that we do have receipts. If you ask every department that has federal funds dealing with the accountability court, they have to provide receipts. It's nothing that we came up with. It's nothing that Landmark came up with. It's just, that's what the federal guidelines. I think what happened is that on that $1.1 million, that's general fund. 1.2. We don't ask for any. I don't ask for any receipts. All I need is a invoice, and they state that we've done clinical services. I'm fine. I cut the check. So when the grant money came, I believe that CSB had the same thinking about the procedures, that they could just provide an invoice, because that's what they did. They only provided an invoice. And at that time, that's when we stated, hey, we actually need more detail. And it's not us, it's not Douglas County, it's the federal government. And the money had already been spent at that point, and then that's what we got dinged on too. We've already had given them money with this, just with an invoice. And so we know, based off of federal guidelines, something that we have a grant team, me, David, we're all experienced with federal grants. And we know that if you're not in line with them, you can lose funding. So mine is just protecting the county. If that's what you want to do, if that's what the board chooses to pay out the 1.2, I'm fine with that. However, I'm just letting you know that there's a possibility that you can lose all of your grants, and that's over $30 million. We're not talking about $1 million. We're talking about over $30 million. So that's my hesitant of it, knowing that. And again, we may not agree, but this is facts. It's facts.
There are no facts because you have not presented them to me. And to keep telling me that there is a possibility, to me, is ludicrous.
We've given.
You cannot. I cannot
we've
run.
Given
no,
you
ma'am. I cannot run a whole corporation or a whole county on possibilities that something may happen. There's a possibility right now that I could go out there and get hit. It's a possibility for a whole lot of stuff. I don't run accounting on possibilities. I run accounting on facts and data. And until you can prove to me that CSB accountability course and anybody else has not actually lived up to the ARPA federal funding, to the ARPA federal funding, then once we get there, Ms. Miller, come to this entire board, not to just one of us, the entire board, and give us the facts, and then allow us as a 5-member board or 4-member board at this point to then decide how we will handle it. That is how this government is ran. It is not ran based on possibilities. It's the data. And I hear you, but then again, you are conflating, again, ARPA funding with the general fund. And that is not how it's supposed to be done. You cannot tell me that we are going to take from our general fund, put it over into our federal fund, and then wait to see if receipts match up to what you all think that they're supposed to. Again, I will point out data. This is facts. 2022 CSB already passed their audit. I have yet to receive an audit from you for this Board of Commissioners appropriation for 2022. And we are now in 2023 and about to, in 22 days, going to 2024. Don't give me the possibilities. Give me the facts. And the facts are we have already appropriated. It is sitting in our general fund. And I expect you as an employee of this county, whether you are interim or not, to follow the directions of the BOC. That is it.
And I will.
Thank you.
If that's what the BOC.
The BOC already committed 5-0 to do so. That is the end of the discussion. I need to move on to 2024. You have your directive. I have a lot of eyes here, plus the county administrator, the county attorney, and the chairman, and my BOC District 4 commissioner. We are in agreement. That $1.2 million, $700,000 has already been given, $500,000 has already been allocated. That check needs to be cut before we go to 2024. Thank you. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item within the budget. When it comes to the appropriation for the tax commissioner is $2.8 million. What was it in the 2024 budget that the tax commissioner asked for? Yes.
Well, what he asked for, it's a $217,000 difference.
Did he tell us what that $217,000 was?
Stated that he wanted his budget increase to what he requested, and it could be several items like other professional services, supplies. It would be several things.
Okay. So I know that he does have money, as Chairman Miller stated, left over in his budget. He has told me, and I think he's also told Commissioner Alcaraz, that money has already been allocated. It will be spent, and that should not be the deterrence as to why the $217 that he's asking for should not come forward. So I would ask, he's not here today, but I would ask that for tomorrow's vote that we get those detailed items as to the 217 so that the board can fully consider it.
Yes, I could.
Okay. And then as I go down, I do see that the Community Services Board again is at $225,000. I would just ask this board, the ones that are here now, the four of us, to consider not cutting CSB down to $225,000 for 2024. I would ask that we fund CSB at the same $1.2 million from the general fund. And again, any ARPA funding or federal funding, that should be worked out with accounting. And I believe that they have already sent receipts and are continuing to send receipts based upon landmarks and you all's requests. So I know that will be taken care of. And with that, I yield.
Okay. The next
Chairman.
item is.
One moment, please. Let's go back. My only issue, I understand what the previous board gave to CSB. I'm 100% behind CSB and what it does for our community. But going through and seeing this process of everything, how we came about funding this, it concerned me that we gave a organization that is not a department of our county, a organization over $1 million and didn't even request reporting to the Board of Commissioners. That's not my money. That is your money. Your money that we're handing out. Surely you would expect us to ask for reporting from any organization that is not related to this county, that does not already give us reporting. We should be asking for that money, those reports. I hope you agree with me. But we need to support and get behind that because it is a great organization for our county. I agree with that. I love what they're doing. It's in my district. I'm proud it's in my district. But going forward, we have got to make sure that any money that we hand out to any organization, this is your money. You should expect us to be financially responsible and ask for reports from these organizations. I'll go into the rest with the budget right now. You know, some of these things that I've heard today, this administration did not buy that $40,000 Christmas tree. We didn't buy it. We gave raises to our employees this year. Big raises to our sheriff's office. I think we've been very generous. But we need to be financially responsible. I'm behind CSB. I will state it and state it over and over again. But any organization we give funds to, this budget, that is not a department of this county, we should require reporting for. And I yield.
Thank you. I do see Director Lightford in the audience. Director Lightford, can you come forward to address Commissioner Alcaraz's point in regards to reporting that you give to the Board of Commissioners and the state, because your state
Absolutely. Good morning,
well.
everyone. Chairman, see you again, 24 hours.
Yes, sir.
So what we do is we did quarterly reporting where we sent out, which I think emails, but we also post everything on our website as well for the public to be able to access. We also give up monthly reports that break down all the services, any type of issues we run into, types of trends that we see. Also was sent out to the previous administration. You do have to forgive me. Earlier this year, I did get sick and I was hospitalized for 2 months. That did interrupt a lot of our reporting. But since then, we've already started back getting the information out. We've been giving out our co-responder reports to the office, 911. The issues that we had was we had one standardized report that was quarterly that Ms. Jill used to send out to us for. Other than that, there was no report ever asked of the Board.
I hear you, but I'm saying our Board of Commissioners should have requested that from Finance to give to us. Because, great, I'm glad Finance gets it or Jill gets it, but if we are the ones who are voting on it, I agree, we should be able to see it.
Oh, yes, sir.
Unless I've missed something, I've yet to see it in my email.
Okay, well, as soon as we get back to office, I'll send you everything that we've been sending. And so you'll have copies of it. But what we'll do now going forward, we'll make sure every commissioner is CC'd on all those emails that we send to Finance Department or whomever else is receiving.
Okay. And I appreciate what you do.
And the receipts that you turned in, when did you return those? When did you
Okay,
turn
so-
those, the receipts that you just turned in, the 560,000, when did you turn those?
Yes, sir. So I'll call CFO up at Pat. Can you come quick? Because we know we did two different distinct entries. The first one was over 300 documents that had to be manually uploaded into folders that we sent in. And she can tell you the date, time frame, and I know she sent out something Friday as well.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
Good morning. Pat Henry, CFO of the CSB. On Friday, last Friday, we submitted the last of the $500,000 of the $1,050,000 that was requested. And I'm sorry, I apologize, Commissioner Accarez, if you weren't on that email. I intended to include all the commissioners as well as Court and his office. And everything has been submitted. I do want to say we agree, we understand that there should be reporting, and we comply. And I just want to say, I have over 30 years in accounting and finance, 22 in reporting and working with federal governments and audits. I have never had a finding, and I refuse to have one now. And it's not our fault that Ross and her group had a finding. Don't blame that on us. They had the finding. If they had given us expectations of what they wanted us to do, we would have complied. I stand on my word, and I, as a professional and a CPA, I'm licensed in Florida, and I'm licensed in the great state of Georgia.
Ma'am.
And I know what I'm doing.
Believe
So, on that reporting, we received our MOU May 2022. They didn't ask us reports until March 2023. They asked, we submitted over 1,100 documents. In a routine audit, you do not submit receipts and documents on 100% of what you submit. You may get asked for 10% of the population. We're right now going through a financial audit. One audit population was 2,100 items. How many items do they think they asked us to submit on receipts? Out of those 2,000 or so, they only asked for 25. 25. That's realistic. I don't know what Landmark is doing, but they are not professional and they're not being realistic as an auditor. That's in my opinion. Okay? But of the over the thousands of documents we sent to them, they wanted us to submit 100%. How long do you think that would take with only 2 accountants on my staff? It took that long because they being ridiculous and not reasonable as auditors, in my opinion, Mr. Corbin. Any other questions?
No, ma'am. I thank you for stating that. And I thank her for stating that they were not asked for reports given the money in 2022, but nobody asked them for reports until 2023. Yield back, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point of clarification. There was an agreement that was signed with respect to the ARPA funds that required detailed description of how the funds were spent, including backup documents. I don't know when compliance was requested or if there was compliance, and it sounds like there may be now, but there was in fact an agreement that required there to be detailed description of how it's spent. I didn't want you or the public to think that there was no requirement there. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Roslin, I personally apologize to you. You've had to take a lot of heat this morning. You don't make any decisions. All you do is give information to the higher ups, and they make the decisions based on what you tell them. We get paid to take that kind of heat. You don't, and I apologize personally to you. Anyone else?
Thank you. Number 5, we have an approval of a resolution in support of establishing a 3rd state court judge for the state of Georgia of Douglas County, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. We have Judge Eddie Barker.
Morning, Judge.
A lot of time.
Judge Barker, sir, if you don't mind, can you speak into the mic, please?
Gives the pretty much those types of cases as well. Our case are the busiest county. We judges do definite third judge. Problems in not having the third judge is it causes delay in getting cases court faster than would have. Rise with that. Folks in the community heard. Waiting for civil matter. Allow us obviously get to those matters. Compton and speak to it if she cases. Sometimes when cases are delayed, have problems finding witnesses. All maybe isn't great later than it might have been. Process pass the resolution by the local we would ask you resolution planning modeling or $13 years. County has grown a lot of pro se lawyers. A lot of time that and growth of this.
Morning.
Morning. How are you, Judge?
Solicitor.
Solicitor. I'm sorry.
I totally support the resolution, Judge. Right now, we have from 2021. Basically, due to trials, people can't find witnesses moved. Here we are.
Thank you, Judge Barker and Solicitor Crumpton, for bringing this to our attention. So, Judge Barker, you said 2026. That gives the Board of Commissioners and the citizens a little time to anticipate what the data, because you all did, you allowed us to see the numbers, you brought the data. I love it, right? I need to put my eyes on something so I know what I'm doing. Talk to us a little bit about what administratively you all would need for that extra judge. Okay, got you.
Would need
Extra.
room. It's staff.
And
I'm
that's
sure
just for the solicitor.
that's just for our office. And Ms. Emmridge is not here. Court would need additional.
It also impacts the sheriff's office. Of course, they provide, courtroom security.
The bailiffs and the
Bailiffs that provide it, as well as the public defender's office and Ms. Miles' budget. Her office. The actual judge itself, very lean. Required for possibly have one there. I don't know what you feel about being stretched over 3, so there might really be up to that judge. Judges prefer not to have staff. For example, Judge McLean doesn't use a staff attorney. Kind of what
that helps me a lot. So all I was thinking about was judge and judge staff attorney, judge assistant. So I didn't know it impacted you all and the sheriff's office and Ms. Miles' office as well, and the clerk's office. That's a lot. So we, as a board of commissioners, have to take that into account when we are actually getting ready to put budget. So, yeah.
We've, the last 2 budget meetings provided estimates of what that would be as far as, I guess.
But now in 2026, that may look a little different.
I don't know, but that's the reason out was to give y'all time to plan for that appropriately.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, like anything, right.
Exactly. Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you, Judge. Next, we have under grants, number 6, authorization for the DUI Drug Court to accept the law enforcement grant from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council in the amount of $30,143 with a match of $4,110 to be funded through the DUI Drug Court budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Joshua Best.
Morning. One of our annual grants, law enforcement grant every year since I've been here. Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Or anything like that, remotely law regularly fund that piece and make sure that our participants
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Number 7, authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to accept the SCAP State Criminal Alien Assistance Program funds in the amount of $26,631 with no match, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
First off, let me correct. SCAP is the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. It's a grant that requires no match, provides federal payments to states and localities that are incurred correctional officer salary costs for incarcerating undocumented criminal aliens with at least 1 felony or 2 misdemeanor convictions for violations of state or local law and are incarcerated for at least 4 days. Funds can be used for correctional purposes only. Some examples of that is training and education of the offenders, training for correctional officers, pre-release and re-entry programs, disaster preparedness, technology involving offender management, interagency sharing. However, we've only used this funds for training, go outside of the state, get more extensive training, and some of it for our re-entry program. We just recently started doing that. She can explain. Grant writer, Susan Shahada.
Morning, Susan.
Department of Homeland that
So, Ms. Susan, is this a federal grant? And so when you all bring to us these federal grants and the funds that you actually get, I see with this one, there is no match. Do you all automatically put this into your budget when you submit it to us, or do you all not include these types of funding, these types of grants in your fund request for a budget? Okay.
right and
Okay. So when you get them, are they put into a separate fund for you to manage? Say that again. Oh, okay. So this is how it will start to be managed. So there would be a separate fund for all of the grants, federal or state, that come down, and you will be able to manage it from there. Okay, so then there will be better accounting practices as to when you all submit your budget as to what we know is grant funded versus what we know would be general fund requested from last year. Wonderful. That was brought up today by a citizen, and so it prompted me to say, okay, how are we doing that in other departments? So I'm glad to know you're being proactive in that regard. Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you. Number 8, authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to accept $10,849 with no match from the Georgia Emergency Management Agency for the purchase of Formulytics software, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Formulytics is basically a database software program, a proprietary program law enforcement agencies use where they input data about confirmed gang, and then they share the data with one another. And this is what we've applied for.
Thank you. Number 9, under business items, authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Stan Co. and Associates Justice Consultants, LLC, for consultant services for the Black Creek Jail Security System replacement at the rate of $4,100 per month, and that's January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, to be funded from the 2022 SPLOST, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Sheriff Pounds selected this consulting company to oversee the Total cost for the year helps with the jail construction that we have Black Creek. Work out the contract.
Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, would this contract be a carryover from the contract that we just did with them? Or is this a different contract?
This is for the upcoming year.
This is for the upcoming year?
Yes, ma'am.
So Stanco will do just the consulting with you all? Just for Black Creek, not for it?
Right.
Not for
He's the go-between.
In the sheriff's office. Okay. When it comes to compliance reporting, right? Because now I want to set the standard for everybody moving forward. That when we do these contracts, Attorney Coleman, that everything is spelled out in the contract and in the MOU so that there is no question as to did we get receipts? Did we get reporting? Is it transparent for the community? So I just want to make sure that you've had a chance to go over this contract and that they will be complying with everything that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners is putting on any other agency that we give money to.
Absolutely. It's being done subject to legal review. We certainly will review for those items, try to be as consistent as we possibly can with respect to all.
So, Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, do you know if this will give the BOC and the community a monthly report on what Stanco is doing? How is this?
That I'm not sure about, but I can get it.
And the rest of the board, okay.
Yes.
And the allocation is coming strictly from the SPLOS funds for 2022. Not Attorney Coleman, I'm sorry. Dr. Corbin, have we set aside a portion of the CSB, a portion of the county 2022 SPLOS funds for the Sheriff's Department?
The total amount hasn't, the board hasn't approved the total amount. You know that a portion of it, ballot was provided for the public safety we presented. I think the next how that money, individual project of Black Creek, those improvements, the board has already.
And how much did the board allocate for the Black Creek project?
I recall approximately $4 million.
So this $4,100 a month is coming from that $4 million that has already been set aside. Okay, all right. All I would ask is that we just get a monthly report of what you guys have going on with Stanco in between that, so that we also know. I think it's really apparent in the media that jails are a big topic now, especially with what's going on in Fulton County. So I want to just make sure that the BOC, this Board of Commissioners, are on top of it, and that our jail is running seamlessly, and that all repairs are made so that we don't have the same thing that's going on in Fulton County.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Chair. I yield.
Thank you. Just for the record, if you go to Douglas County Jail and hospital, then it does. Really clean. It's really nice. Prisoners are treated very fairly. Proud of what you do. Next.
Yes, and before I go on, if I could just remind everyone at the podium to speak as close into the mic as possible. They're having trouble hearing. Number 10 is authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Correct Health for health care services to inmates in the jail at an annual base amount of $3,648,680.15, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024, be funded through the Sheriff's Office budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Well, this is a bit up from last year. It's up 5%. No, Vice Chair would love to hear that, but the difference is $184,582.12. But a couple of years ago, we had a company come in to do some research so we could find a more cost-efficient company or provider. The company that we researched was WellPath. They do all the BOCs in the state of Georgia. So, and the minimum cost was $4 million, and that was 2 years ago. So, couldn't imagine what it'd be right now. We did tell our provider that we was going to put this out for bid, and he invited us to do that and jack his prices up. With us being under that $4 million that we are, that was the minimum 2 years ago. Maybe in the best interest of the county to go with this contract until we can find some better healthcare providers. But for the record, they have done better. They have improved somewhat. Of course, it's still a work in progress, but it is better.
For the record, how many inmates do we have at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office jail?
I did not get a chance to see the count this morning, but it's over 700.
It's over 700.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's just say for easy math, throughout the whole year, we probably get, let's just say 800 a month. 800 a month is what fluctuates between all 12 calendar months. That about right, Chair? Okay. $3.5 million just for 800 citizens. And I just want to say this because I got to say this for a record. And probably a lot of people in here are thinking, you probably know where I'm going.
So if we get to 800.
If we get to 800.
That's more. It's more money.
Oh, my God. So you could possibly, if we go over 800 inmates, you could possibly be coming back in here to ask us for more.
Yes.
So for 800 citizens, because they are citizens, even if they're incarcerated, they're still our citizens and our community members. But 800 of our community members, we are spending $3.5 million. But for 8,000, if I heard one of our constituents correctly, we are only spending $1.2 million. I just want to put that in perspective. I really do, y'all, because this to me is what we are facing, right, with healthcare and mental health. And I know you and I have talked about this because you sat on one of the panels and you said a question was asked to you, how many of the people who are incarcerated probably have a mental health condition? And I'll let you state, what was your estimate? How many?
I would say 70% or more.
70%.
Like it's been stated so many times today, you know, with the state hospitals closing down, jails and your prisons are your mental hospitals. You have to care.
You have to care for them. Thank you for putting that in perspective. Again, this is a lot. For 800 inmates, 800 of our community members. I'm hopeful that maybe you can work with our director of procurement, Ms. Amons, and others to see how we could possibly, or even our CSB board to see, or the state to see how we could possibly revamp it. Maybe Douglas County can be the model as to how we do mental health and medical health in the state of Georgia. Maybe we can become the model as to how we implement this, because if 70% of our inmates are in there because of mental health conditions, I'm pretty sure that Douglas County, along with all of the people that we have here, the accountability courts, Ms. Judge Peggy Walker, who we heard a endearing message from this morning, I believe all of us, including you, because you know you're pretty smart. I think we can come together and figure out how we can get this down. This right here has to be one of our top priorities, because it is dealing with safety, but it's also dealing with the citizens and the community. And with that, Chairman, I yield.
Just to make not 8.
No, sir.
And out's what
Right.
I'm get. What that,
So a daily average would be around between, I would say, 7 and 7. I'm sorry, monthly average, 700 and 750. More like 725 and 750. And it fluctuates a little, but not to the 800. God forbid we get there.
next,
Number 11, authorize the chairman to execute a scope of work contract with Business Information System, BIS Digital, in the amount of $7,984.34 to be funded by the Juvenile Court's 2023 budget for additional microphones to be installed by the juvenile courtrooms, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Donna Wentz.
It's just 2 microphones for each of our courtrooms. It's budget neutral. Scope of contract signed for our digital business information systems. We already have the system. We're just adding 2 microphones to each courtroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12, approval of a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Transportation, Georgia Department of Transportation, for roadway lighting on State Route 166, Duncan Memorial Highway, from Chapel Hill Road to the roundabout at SR 154, as recommended by the Transportation Committee with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon Rana.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and Board of Commissioners. This MOA is the execution step of 2016 street lighting effort, 2016 SPLOST street lighting effort. This reflects on a prior agreement to install lights on State Route 166, starting from Chapel Hill, terminating at the big roundabout. This is roughly 2.5 miles of roadway segment that will be covered under these street lights. Along with operational and safety benefits that are intended through these lights, also adds into the effort of Georgia Department of Transportation of them classifying this road as a scenic byway. Questions?
So with this, thank you, Chairman. With this lighting agreement, is there any cost?
So there was a prior agreement with Greystone to install, it was a blanket to install roughly over 100 lights on State Route 166. There's an installation cost of roughly $160,000. That's already been negotiated. It includes various other projects. The direct cost with this specific project would be the monthly operating cost of the electricity, which is roughly $9 per street light, comes out to $650 for 73 lights.
Thank you so much. I know that a lot of people, especially in my district, District 3, are going to be very happy about this. So when do you think this project will start? What is the start date for this installation?
So roughly, we'll give it roughly 1 month to 2 months for all the contracts execution, and from there on, there is roughly 4 to 6 weeks of backlog Greystone projects. So I'll give it roughly
3 to 4 months. So maybe the springtime of 2024 is when we can see the first light installation for the 166 corridor. Thank you so much. With that, Chairman, I yield.
next,
Number 13, approval of a deductive change order number 5 in the amount of $1,030.88 on the contract with the Corbett Group, LLC, for Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road Intersection Improvement Project funded through the 2016 SPLOST funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon Rana.
Thank you. The board approved a deductive change order of roughly over $100,000 of savings on this project last month. The project has officially closed out, and upon processing the final pay app, we had additional savings of roughly $1,000 and $30. Coming back for that final adjustment so we can close this project off. Thank you.
Number 14, approval of a professional services agreement in the amount of $25,000 with Southeastern Engineering, Inc. for EOR, which is Engineer of Record, and CEI, Construction, Engineering, and Inspection Services during construction of new Manchester High School sidewalk project to be funded from 2016 SPLOST funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon Rana.
The board approved the construction contract of New Manchester sidewalk project. This is roughly 3/4 of a mile of sidewalk in the vicinity of New Manchester High School, connecting it to Boundary Waters Park. The construction contract will begin roughly start to mid next month. SCI was our prime designer of this project. We're requesting this professional services agreement to keep them on as engineer of record and to perform any construction engineering inspections as needed throughout the project. We'll keep most of those services in-house, but if for some reason we have to reach out to the expert or the prime designer, this is what this contract will let us do. Thank you.
Questions? Vice Chair?
Thank you. So, Director Rana, the $25,000 service agreement, it will last throughout the completion of the New Manchester sidewalk. So
it's linked to specific tasks. So, for example, part of it is 5 site inspections. Part of that is a certain number of RFIs, requests for information that may arise during the construction project. That's what we anticipate for now. We're very confident that that's the amount we need. But if something goes wrong during construction, there is a limited scope on this contract.
Okay.
If something goes horribly wrong, we may have to come back and ask for more, which I hope we don't.
Okay. Fair enough. I yield.
Next.
Number 15, authorization to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending the Douglas County Code of Ordinances regarding Chapter 8, Emergency Medical Service and Ambulance Service Providers, and Chapter 10, Section 21, Malfunctioning Fire Alarms and Fee Therefore, and a new section regarding fees for service. Chief Allen.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. Over the past few months, the fire department has done a deep delve into the Code of Ordinances, specifically Chapter 8 and Chapter 10. Chapter 8 is the Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance Service Providers. We're just asking that the ordinances be updated to reflect what we're doing today as compared to written out back then. Chapter 10 is for the fire department's fees for service and fee scheduling for the fire marshal's office and for non-resident vehicle accidents and roadway fire fees. Just the same.
Chairman Alcaraz.
Chief, how many malfunctioning fire alarms do you respond to? Let's say in a given quarter or
have that number, but it's pretty significant.
Okay, so that takes up a lot of resource time.
Yes, sir.
And are these usually reoccurrences of the same, usually in the same area, like say a business or somewhere like that?
Yes, it's twofold actually, because newer homes now have fire alarms in them that are monitored by services. We do get called on those.
Okay, and just when you're talking about these fees, what would those fees look like? What are you proposing?
For malfunctioning, I'll just read it real quick to you. Third false alarm, subsequent false alarms occurring on the same day. Third false alarm, $50. Subsequent, up to including 5 calendar month, $75 to $150 for each.
I yield, Chairman.
Good morning, Chief Allen. Farmer. Can you explain to the citizens exactly what you mean, false alarm?
So, false alarms could be anything as far as fire alarms, detectors, wintertime, fall time, sector. In commercials, there could be anything from trouble alarm, water flow, alarms happen out to respond. A lot of times, get there, reoccurring in the system, structure happening, and they could do anything. But it's something that does pull resources.
Understood. So is this for commercial and residential or just commercial? It's commercial and residential. So those repeat offenders is where this would kick in at.
Yes, ma'am. Similar to burglar alarm. Personal experience off plenty from the sheriff's department.
Understood. Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Next.
Number 16, approval of a contract with Caliber One Construction in the amount of $10,325,715 for the construction of Fire Station Number 9 to be funded by 2016 SPLOST, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
Yes, once again, good morning. We're actually moving forward with the construction of Fire Station Number 9. Approval for the contract. We've gone through the proper process, procedures for bidding. Next step.
Money's all.
Yes.
Did Caliber One give you an idea of a start time once they awarded this bid, and how long will this process take?
Remember the start time, but I believe we're looking at, if I'm not mistaken, next year.
Okay.
That it would be complete.
It'll be completed. Okay. Yield, Chairman.
Number 17, approval of a services contract agreement with Nova Engineering and Environmental in the amount of $80,430 to provide special inspections for the construction of Fire Station Number 9 to be funded by 2016 SPLOST, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
In addition to the former agenda item, this is an addition. This just goes along with calibers for inspections.
Next.
Okay. Number 18, authorization to renew Douglas County Fire Department Medical Director Agreement with Dr. Ray Fowler in the amount of $15,000 annually, monthly increments of $1,250 to be funded by the 2024 Fire Department budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
And this is just a renewal for Dr. Fowler to become our medical director.
$1,000 won't be able to.
Speak regularly, and he is 100% on board. If there were to be any type of issue with his health, that's something we would have to address. But
Yeah, I love him, and I hope he does good. I was just wondering about capability. Thank you.
Okay, number 19, authorization of an agreement at no cost between Douglas County Fire EMS Department and Faithful Guardian Training Center to borrow EMS equipment from Faithful Guardian Training Center for the purpose of paramedic instruction, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
So as the board knows, we'll be doing a paramedic class next year, and part of the paramedic class is also needing the use of the equipment, resources that Faithful Guardian has, and in order to do that, we have to have an agreement to borrow their equipment.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Number 20, approval to award a contract to Place Services, Inc. for a maximum amount of $5 million for the design, build, construction of a new E911 backup facility to be funded by E911 Capital Fund and General Fund Capital, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Katrina Hartley.
Good morning, Chairman Miller, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. The Evaluation Committee for Solicitation 23-033 met November 28th, 2023, and presented our individual evaluation forms to the Procurement Director, who tallied the results, with Place Services Incorporated being selected as the company for the design, build, construction of a new E911 backup facility.
All right. Well needed, thank you.
Thank you. This may not be for you, Director Hartley. This may be for Dr. Corbin. Dr. Corbin, the E911 backup facility, is that not a, I guess you would say, security or safety component?
It is in the public. It is in the public.
So it's not coming out of the SPLOST, the 2022 SPLOST?
Well, eventually, SPLOST will be any capital fund, E911 capital fund.
Mm-hmm. Because what I don't want is Ms. Hartley back in here asking this board for more money because we took it out of your capital fund project, your capital fund. So I just want to make sure that we are understanding how this will impact. So part of it will go to reimburse back capital fund. It will be coming from SPLOST. So this entire board hears that. I want it on the record. You won't be back in here. Thank you, Chairman. I yield.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next.
Number 21, approval of the Transit Master Plan. Ron Roberts.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Administration, citizens, my daughter Emma watching at home. You guys saw Rachel Hatcher from RSNH present on our master plan. It is, as I stated, just budget neutral. We're going to be able to make some changes this next year with our existing budget to our routing, and very excited about that. But that plan also includes a 5-year look ahead. By the adoption of this budget, it by no way commits county to anything. It's just having the plan gives us extra credibility with FTA, also our partners in the region, and it gives us a direction to take the program. So on the adoption
Okay. Number 22, approval of a contract with DocuSign in the amount of $2,760 for document management services to be funded by the Purchasing Department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Latanya Ammons.
Well, good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, County Admin, and citizens. I'm coming before you seeking approval to spend some of my budget for the county to implement DocuSign. I'm going to consider this a possible phase 1. So if anybody else comes back and want this, the procurement department is asking just for us to start. And the purpose of DocuSign is for me to send documents to county employees and for them to sign in the system. And so what is great about it, becomes a housing tool or warehouse for those particular signs and for the signage of those forms. So if we are asked from an open records perspective, we can easily just log on and download the signs, as well as know who's in compliance of signing required documents. We will already have the list of who it's been sent to, who has opened it, who has signed it, and who has returned it, but more importantly, who has not for compliance. And so this is just a start, but the procurement department sees this as a necessary tool to help cut down on the amount of manual labor hours with the dissemination of forms, the collection, and the tracking.
Good morning, Director Amy.
Good morning, Commissioner
Okay, so
Arthur.
break this down in layman's terms. Why are we using DocuSign? Give me an example as to why we to institute this.
Okay, so I'll give you a great example. At the last BOC meeting, the board here approved a new P card policy and a resolution. So as such, one of the requirements is for all P card holders to acknowledge that they have received the P card policy. So my plan is when we bring in new training in January, everyone that has a P card will be sent the policy, and they will have to acknowledge that they have received the policy. And in signing it, and in signing that acknowledgement, we'll know 2 weeks later who did or who didn't. And so that means that we can move the needle forward, as if maybe they made the decision that they don't want the P card, but maybe they just missed the particular email. So what happens is when I'm asked by one of the commissioners or county admin who has a card, who signed the policy, or if there's a questionable charge, were you aware of the policy? Did you sign the policy? All the documents are housed right there. It makes it a lot easier. Elsewhere, I have evaluation committees. As you've heard, I had 3 solicitations that were completed today. Every member who serves on the evaluation committee has to sign a form. So this just becomes a relief of that manual process when I can just hit the button one time, please sign the form, and it's returned and it's housed in its proper folder, again, for just some audit perspective. And so what happens, and lastly, if a director wants an individual to have a card and I submit that form, then the manager signs it. Now it becomes a routing, right? Who signed it, what day, what time, and all of that is housed, and we have the audit as well. So that is why the procurement department, it's like a simple task, but yet it has so much more that that this tool can allow for. But immediately I need it for the P card program.
Understood. Would this also help us? If you don't know, you just say I don't know. Will this help us with our audits moving forward as well with findings?
Yes, it can. So we're going to take this in baby steps. It can help us with a lot of our audits and finding. It can help. Someone could route a contract to legal. Legal can approve it in the system, and then it is routed to chairman for approval. DocuSign has a platform for an intranet site where we can house documents. So the capabilities are endless. Compliance for any department that has a form, just a communication. And so it has a lot of capabilities. I can send you a document, you can sign it, you can send it back, meaning not on behalf of the county because the chairman signs everything, but it is just there for us to have. And we aren't chasing. This is just one piece, right? And this piece is, I believe, needed from a signature housing perspective. It's just one small piece as we move Douglas County forward and just having the tools available and removing the human capital. So maybe we can spend more time doing analysis of what we have versus chasing down and sending emails. And also for documentation purposes. I send something for somebody to sign, they print it, they take a picture, they send it back, and it's caught in the email. Now we have when they open the document, when they signed it, and when it was sent back, and also where something is caught up. If it needs 3 signatures, we're not sending just an email. Someone can log on and say, oh, we're waiting on a signature for, or yes, I did receive it. So the capabilities are endless. This is just a start.
Thank you so much. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you.
Number 23, appointment of Commissioner Mark Alcaraz as chairman of the BOC Transportation Committee. Next, we will have approval of expenses, so be prepared to approve those on tomorrow's meeting. And then we now have discussion items. Number 25, we have probate judge Christina Peterson.
We're just gonna take it a little out of order. Sorry, good afternoon. We're gonna take it a little out of order. Commissioner Baker is gonna go first, then the coroner, then I'll follow. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner. A little bit. I want to say I'm in favor of the community about them. I don't know if you know, I used to manage the Douglas County Community. In fact, when Ray Lyford came, he was recommended, and he came and interviewed with me. Immediately called my boss. Very sharp, very good. He crosses his eyes. Heard his very well qualified. I know she's. So if they say they gave you that documentation, and I have no doubt that they will give it to you. So it's a very important organization. When I went to work there, I had no clue what I was going to do. Came to like it, I enjoyed it. People that need services truly need services. Yes, you keep supporting them wholeheartedly, because it is mostly Douglas County. Most of the facilities are for residents. Really, I was kind of get to that. Chairman say that's probably true. I think Commissioner Alvarez called me and asked me to did that spread, but those were not expended. Some of those dollars, some of them have so far. Problem I got is getting stuff through. Push your little button and I got it done. Called on it and you finally got it done. Also, one of the problems was the county manager seems to get our stuff. That one. Only people that need the no authority to stop. Push if you ever want to ask anything about what we're doing, you're welcome to. Very open. I'll be happy to tell you what I'm doing, but I'd appreciate a call and you ask me the question. And I'll be happy to show you anything. You deserve that, and I want to be honest and straightforward with you guys. And so I say let's work together, not work against each other. Seems to be that we're working against each other right now. I don't think that's the right thing. This county deserves better. You were put here for a reason, and that reason was for you to look at things and try to make things move forward as quickly as possible and as honestly as possible. So I just appreciate a call. I think we communicate. You take a position and then you want to just say, no, I'm not going to vote for that. I'm not going to do that. That's not a great way to run a county. You really need to sit down and find out what the other party's trying to do. I plan to expend those funds. One of the reasons those funds are not expended, we were late on doing our getting our taxes out this year. We didn't get them out, and they weren't due till December 15th. That's because we bought a new system. We had glitches in that system, and it was more important to fix the system and get the taxes out than it was for me to expend money. So to tell me, oh, you got $400,000, you should have just spent it, that don't make sense. The taxes needed to go out. We had a number of problems with that. The assessor had a number of problems with that held us up. Most of them were on his side. So that held us up. We had a new TAD that was in place for the county. We had to hand calculate those things because they weren't in the new system yet. So we had to get all that TAD into the new system. So a lot of things I didn't get to because I was busy with the taxes. So I will get to them. And let me just say this, and I don't mean to knock anybody, but when you say something against the tax commissioner's office, I'm coming back at you. When you were sheriff, you had money left over in your budget. And at the end of the year, you bought 10, 15 cars at the end. You had sometime had $500,000 left in your budget. Then you guys went out and bought a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy stuff at the end of the year just to expend my budget. If I have it left over, I want to come and tell you, I have it left over for this reason. I want to roll it over till next year. I'm not asking you to increase my budget, but I'm not asking you to decrease it either. I'm saying I didn't get to that project. And sometimes, you know, if you're in business, you don't get to some of the projects that you plan to get to. The problem is I didn't get to those projects. Doesn't mean I don't want to do them or they're not going to get done. Doesn't mean that they're not important. Just mean that I was busy doing something else that was more important. That was to get the tax digest out and get the system up and running that we spent quite a bit of money on and make sure it's right. Now, is it totally right? No. And if you know anything about computers and systems, it takes a year or so to get that stuff right, to get everything in the system. So, but it's good enough now that I don't have to spend all that time. And now we've gone back to try to spend some of that money that we asked for. But I'm not going to go at the end of the year and just spend money just to spend money. I can tell you that now. I'm just not going to do it. But I am going to come up here and tell you those projects are still needed. And I'd still like to get them done. And that's why I'm fighting to keep my money. The only other thing I've asked you for is I needed another person in my finance department. Now, I'll figure it all out. I mean, I'm good at figuring stuff out. But sometimes I need your help too. And I don't ask for anything over and above what I need. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in fluffing my budget just to have it fluffed. I'm going to ask you for exactly what I need. If you don't want to give it to me at that time, my job is to tell you what I need. If you don't give it to me, that's on you. But I'm going to tell you what I need. I have responsibilities that I'm mandated to do. You don't give me the stuff that I need, then I have to go to other avenues, definitely, or I have to come back before you and say, I don't have this. I can tell you right now, if you go, I implore you, leave your desk and come to my office. I'm probably behind 5 days on finances and stuff that's come in, only because my finance girl's been out sick. Her grandmother's in the hospital, so she's been running back and forth. But I only got one person. And that's why I keep telling you I need another person. But if you want to come look, and I'll show you, and I'll show you the stacks. We are behind that far. It's coming out. But now what I was here for today, I promise you that I went to collect your $5.4 million. I said $5 million, but it's 5.4. I believe the county attorney got that information. I don't know if he relayed it to you. I think he got it last week. And I was supposed to meet Rosalind, but she had to go be at the Board of Commissioners meeting. I said I'd go pick it up. When I went, they had mailed it. So it took me a while to get it from the mail because of the holiday season. But if you got any questions, I'm here to answer any of your questions yet.
So Commissioner Baker, in regards to your 2024 budget, I see that it's 2.8 million and some change. You are asking the Board of Commissioners to increase that budget for a financial assistant?
Well, we'll go back a little ways.
Okay.
My last year's budget was wrong. It didn't get put in right. But if we go, if I get that to, I think it's 217,000 that we're short last year that didn't get in this year, somehow I'm going to make it work. And I'm not going to ask for anything. If I have to come back before you later on, I'll come back before you later on. But I'm willing to try to make that work so that we can be on an even page right now. If I have to come back before you, I will come back before you and ask for it. But if I'm getting that 217, I'll try to make that work for now.
So the 217 is for the finance.
It's going to be part of the finance. That's the first thing I'm going to do with that.
Okay, so you want that added to your salary or full-time salary item?
Well, not the whole 217.
Not the whole 217.
Yeah. And Rosalind and I will go through that because I've added some already. I think you guys approved the 53 the last time I was here.
Right.
It hasn't gotten my budget yet, but I don't know why. I trust Rosalind will get it there. If not, well, I'm not supposed to talk to her. I'll make sure it gets there some way or another. But that 53 was added, and if I get the 217 that should have been in there last year, I will make it work for now.
So
that's what I'm saying.
So your total budget request is for?
It should be 3 million. You got it, Rosalind? Huh? I think Rosalind got it. It should be 3 million. Hey, remember, that's not all. All that's in my budget. People get the wrong impression what's in my budget. The maintenance for Tyler Technology is in my budget. All the maintenance for the building that we're in, upstairs and down, is in my budget. So it's a lot of things in my budget that I do. It's not, I can't say it's really my budget. It's also for maintenance of the computer system, maintaining the building. So when you say I got extra money, kind of got a little extra money, but you never know, like the elevator broke. So I paid that out of my budget. It comes out of my budget. All that stuff comes out of my budget. So you got to be careful when you say things are in my budget. So I'm in charge of maintenance, cleaning of the building, repairs of the building, and stuff like that. So it doesn't come back to you guys. It's all in my budget.
So I just asked that we get the correct amount, and I think I asked earlier, you weren't here, so I'm just stating it so that you can hear. Oh, okay, that we just understand that we understand what the $217,000 is for.
It's $3,075,297.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And what was it last year?
2.8 or 2.858,297. But that was wrong last year too.
So about 200,000.
All I'm asking for now. Like I say, I'm willing to come back before you. I'm not ashamed to come back before you.
Listen, I know that there's a lot of people in here that wish that things were the way I didn't make them. I was retired, fairly well off, not rich, but comfortable. I thought, because I had been sheriff here for 6 years, the last 2 terms that I ran when Barack Obama was president. Even though he won Douglas County both times, I won sheriff both. You know, I thought that, and I know that at that time, some of the Democrats they voted for me, supported me in order for that to happen. So I thought maybe that I had a good enough reputation in this county to try to make a difference, bring us together, and I'm having a hard time doing it. I'm not a quitter. I would love to get out of here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay here. It was my understanding, and has been my understanding all along, the person, the Board of Commissioners, take care of the citizens. That's been my desire. I don't want to hurt the tax commission, CSB, Coroner's office. But when we see what we think is either waste, or even if it's not waste, if we gave you more than we should have given you, then in order to manage that budget, then maybe we should pull back some of that money so we can fund other things. Your budget in the last 3 years, 900. We can't tell you. Totally agree with you. Been there and done that. Was a constitutional. But in response to saying that I bought cars, I did. But I would go to the commissioners and ask them if that was okay. And I also went by their purchasing procedure to do that. Just let me finish. When we see that kind of money left over in the budget, it don't mean that we're not willing to give you the money that you need to operate. But if we do what we're supposed to do and we see extra money, the only way that I can manage your budget is what we give you every year. Is that correct? After that, it doesn't matter, right? So the only option that we have as commissioners, as far as constitutional officers are concerned, is if they don't spend $915,000 over 3 years, then cut some of that back, give it to another agency. And if you come to us in the mid-year saying, hey, I had unforeseen circumstances, or I had to hire new employees for these reasons, or my elevator broke and it ain't in the budget, I need your help. We're supposed to help you. That's our responsibility. But if we don't adjust these budgets, I don't know what we're here for. If you're just supposed to get everything you want, and there's no criteria for it, and if you don't spend it, none of it's ever taken back. I don't know how I manage that, or how these people are supposed to manage it. It cannot be you can have everything you want. I can't have everything I want. It's got to be managed. And if that's unreasonable, then I'm just unreasonable. I don't want to hurt you, tax commissioner. I like you, and I help you. But if I'm supposed to give you money that you don't spend, what's right about that?
Well, I want to question your numbers. I don't think they're right. I
don't know if they're right or not. They're on this paper.
I know you don't. But I can question a lot of numbers. Now, I've been questioning a lot of numbers going forward here. Yeah. I think we've seen that with the CSB earlier when the finance lady came up here. Something's going wrong with the numbers in here lately. Probably has to do with who's running our finance department right now.
It don't have anything to do with that.
Excuse me, I let you talk. You asked me to let you talk. I'm going to attack whoever I think. You're going over the numbers. I'm going to tell you what's going wrong. You don't want me to talk?
Unreasonable. No.
No, you don't want to talk?
Be professional about it and don't point your finger at somebody.
Well, your numbers are wrong. I'll attack you. Your numbers are wrong.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay? And I can tell you whoever's running finance, it's got to be the county manager. If that's who you got it, then I'm going to attack him.
All right.
Because your numbers are wrong. And they're lying.
That's
now,
fair.
Since you have my numbers, where's the department? Where are other departments' numbers do you have? What other department numbers do
I'm
you
going to
have?
answer your
Okay.
question. Just the people that's asked for extra money is what I have here.
Oh, well, no, why, who had extra money left over is what you should have, because that's what you said I had. Who had extra money left? Every department that has extra money left over, go over their numbers with me.
Okay, I don't
Not
know
ask
why.
for extra money, because I
don't
didn't
know.
ask for extra money yet. But to over everybody who had extra
So-
money left over in their department.
So you disagree that we should
You
monitor?
don't have those numbers, do you?
Yes.
Okay, go over the numbers.
Clerk of the courts, 526,000 over a 4-year period. Probate court, 302,000 over a 4-year period. So that's the people that's asked for.
That's the only people you have.
The only people that's asked for extra.
Sheriff asked for extra money. Did you have his numbers? You used to run that department. Sheriff asked for a lot of extra money. You gave it to him. We're over. You didn't go over those numbers. Now, why didn't you go over those numbers?
All I'm asking you is 900. But be willing, listen to me, be willing to come up with a problem. Come to us, I would think we're supposed to do. Otherwise, we're just sitting up here doing nothing.
Right. Did you know the people you read off? You know the people you read off that had extra money in their account?
What?
You know the departments you read off that have extra money in their account? Nobody else had extra money in their account.
It's not, I'm just trying to explain to you, it's the.
No, you're not trying to explain. You're trying to
No.
weed out
All right.
certain people.
Okay, hey, listen, I don't have anything else to say, but thank you
Well,
for the
thank you,
comment.
because you can't weed out certain people. You didn't put the sheriff in there. He has extra money in his account, does he not?
He ought to have money taken back if that.
But
if
you
it's
didn't.
over a
You didn't
period of
list
time.
it. You didn't list it. Oh, why? That's all my question is. Why? You're only giving certain people. I'm going to blow smoke and I'm going to blow everything I can because you only got certain numbers. Who gave you the numbers? Oh, thank you. Just what I said. Finance department, you told me I was attacking them.
It's all their fault. It's none of it's
Right, and you told me I was attacking them. They only gave you certain people's numbers. If you're going to be fair, get all the numbers. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to be fair, get all the numbers. Because I'm going to come back. Because I'm going to go look at all the numbers. So if you're going to take from one, you take from all. That's all I'm saying. You want to be fair? Take from everybody that's got money left over. You can't take from one and not take from the other. So you say you're fair. You're not fair. All I got to say. If you're going to take from one, you better take from the all. That's it. Thank you.
I like to clarify the statement earlier in your comments, Mr. Tax Commissioner. I did get the information regarding the check. It was homeowners tax grant that had been granted by the state to all the counties.
Yes.
That check was anticipated as a part of the budget. It wasn't new money, I understand. I was told that it was in the budget number. That was the check.
That's very strange because nobody knew the amount of money we were getting back from that. So how can you anticipate something? Because even us tax commissioners, and it came to us, and we were told in our meeting that when we requested it, that nobody knew what the number was yet. So that's very strange that finance can have money or show money that they don't even know what the figure is yet. Because I didn't even know the figure until I got the check. Because the check shows for the county, school board, for the cities and everybody else. And we didn't even know how much money we were getting back. We got more than $11 million back. And it was never discussed who was getting what. So for you to say that it's been figured into the budget, somebody's not telling the truth. Because finance has no way of knowing that when we don't know. The state didn't even know, and I was waiting for that question to come up. The state couldn't even tell us what we were getting back. So for you to have that figured into your budget for finance, that's a lie. I'm going to just say it just like that, because nobody knew that figure. So don't tell me you know a figure when you don't, because that's not true. Nobody knew that figure because nobody knew how much each county was getting back. I can verify that and clarify that with the state.
Chairman, Tax Commissioner, Commissioner, don't go nowhere. So that $5 million check, is that going to be a reoccurring, or is that a one-time?
That's a one-time.
One time. So that's something we do not need to calculate on in our budget going forward.
Not going forward. I appreciate your question, because it seems nobody asked me questions, and since I collect all the money, nobody asked me any questions about what's coming in or anything. So I appreciate that question.
All right, I yield, Chairman.
By the way, Rosalind, here's your check.
Anyone else?
So here's the check. Hand it to Rosalind. It was not, I don't think you had it in the budget, did you? But how did you know how much money it was?
Yes, please.
Okay, you have to understand that we calculate based off of prior year. So the person that received a credit, they actually paid taxes last year. So we use that number, and we're anticipating we're going to receive that amount, which we did by this. So it's not, that's how it's calculated. It's not a lie.
Anyone else? Next, please.
We have Coroner Renee Godwin. You here?
Or afternoon?
Good afternoon. First, I want to start off by saying I'm not the one. I'm the one with few spoken words. I don't say much. I'm not at a lot of these meetings unless it's concerning my office. And I want to say, I was speaking with my pastor, and I told him I was tired. And he said being tired is weak. I said, I'm not weak. I said, I might be weak when it comes, what I'm tired of is being lied on. I'm tired of being disrespected in my office. I'm tired of people accusing me of things that I didn't do. That's what I'm tired of. But mostly what I'm tired of is being silent. I'm not going to be silent anymore. I'm going to speak for my office and for myself. And the first thing I want to say is that Corbin, County Administrator Corbin, is not my boss. My boss is the citizens that put me in office. Corbin doesn't run my office. Corbin doesn't know what I have in my office. Corbin doesn't know what I need in my office. So with that saying, Corbin shouldn't have cut my budget. And it's not that my budget is cut. He moved my payroll line item, and I wasn't notified about my budget being cut. And I didn't appreciate it, because someone should have called and said something to me and tell me where they were taking my money and putting it. The amount of money that was given to me for 2024 for my payroll is less than the money that was paid in 2015's budget for their payroll. So make it make sense. You know, I had money left over And the thing about it, Douglas County is not that Mayberry County anymore. It's not Mayberry, Georgia. Douglas County has grown. We have production studios being built out here. We have Amazon warehouse being built out here. And the fastest growing in Douglas County is the ages of 65 and over that is moving to this county from 2010 to 2022. 59% of seniors from the age of 65 has moved to Douglas County. We have new constructions going up in Douglas County, new homes, new communities. Let me get my numbers straight, my facts straight. But we have 161 communities being built in Douglas County. We have 1,181 homes being built in Douglas County. So with all these homes being built and these seniors moving here, we're gonna have more deaths. Our deaths are increasing every year. It's not going down. So to give me 119,000 for 2024, and we used 178,000 last year. Make it make sense. Why would you give me less than what I paid out last year? We're now currently at 179,000 for this year, but we still have 3 weeks to go for the rest of the year. And I know the number is growing.
Can I interrupt you just a second? Just so I know, is that payroll you're talking about, or is that total
The
budget?
payroll.
Payroll, your budget's 5 something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but your payroll's what you're saying, okay?
Yeah, it's my payroll.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes. And all I'm respectfully asking is that you restore my budget, make a motion to restore my budget back to where it is current today. And I will move forward and maintain what I have now in my budget for the next year. And then I can maintain it. I mean, if something happened and I need anything, like you told Commissioner Baker, I'll come back. You know, and with the building, I asked for a meeting with Mr. Corbett. He assumed that I wanted to talk about the building, because shortly after that, I get an email saying, your new building, 1.9, well, it sent it out to everybody, 1.9 million, no more 3,000 square footage, something to that effect. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to talk to him about me hiring additional staff. I was allowed to post jobs for administrative assistant and deputy coroner. I interviewed these people. I offered these people jobs, and I get an email saying Mr. Corbin said put it on hold. For what? But nobody can call me or talk to me and tell me why is it been put on hold. And I get a call from one of the persons I interviewed. He said, you still have a freeze on your job at your office? He said, because Douglas County Human Resource called me for an interview for another job. I felt stupid. The county is hiring for other departments, but got to have a freeze on what I have. And I just don't understand. And I don't appreciate it. And I feel disrespected.
How many employees?
I have 6 employees, excluding the transporters and the chaplain.
That include you?
No, that doesn't include me. That doesn't include me and the chief deputy coroner.
You got 8 and a chaplain?
I have, yes. And I have one of my deputy coroners, Mr. Deputy Coroner Rufus He's gonna go over the numbers with you guys.
Yes, we had a meeting with the chairman not too long ago, and thank you, Commissioner, for hearing me. And I just wanted to share some of the numbers with you. Back in 2015, the coroner's office addressed 126 deaths. And the reason I picked 2015 because that was, as she mentioned, that was actually where that payroll level was that she was referring to. Move up to today, 2023, we're already at 363. In 2022, 395, just kind of give you an indicator. We're already set to break that 395 level for the next couple of weeks based on the trends that are out there now. And that includes the pending deaths that we have currently that have not been placed in our system. I do have reports that we'll provide you, shortly, and I'll also walk you through how to read it because it's a little different to go read it, but it is a state document where these numbers are housed. And the reason that was important, again, is she mentioned that the funding level for salaries was a lot less. We cover 168 hours a week. That means whether we get a call or not. And in some days, there may be 3, 4, and I think recently we even had 10 calls in one day. That's very taxing to expect just the coroner herself to do all those kind of cases without the support of all the other support staff that we're asking funding for. We're just trying to maintain our current level. She's not asking for anything additional, but just to maintain our current levels. Thank you. Question? Yes.
I do have a question. So what is the ask? Payroll budget? Like what is the number?
I don't know the number, but she just wanted to restore it the way it was in place last year. You know that number? What was payroll?
And you said currently the payroll,
What it is now.
that's what it is now. And so what is your ask to increase the payroll?
I didn't because with what's there now, it's enough to cover the extra. If I wanted to have an administrative assistant, chaplain, or whatever, it's enough in that budget of my payroll line item to pay the people.
Okay, so for 2024's budget,
it went down to 119.
Okay, so you are asking the BOC to increase your payroll budget to?
Well, I'm asking to restore my 2023. I want it to be the same as I had, changing nothing.
Changing nothing. So finance team and county administrator, can we?
So we're looking at total budget. So for 2023, it was 5,042. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For this year, it was 625,142. However, what's proposed is $550,949, which is a variance of 69,193. So her request would be to increase her proposed budget by 69,193.
And that would put it back to what it was for 2023.
That is correct.
Okay. So, Board of Commissioners, I would ask that we, put back the coroner's budget to last year's budget amount. She's not asking for it. From what I'm understanding, you were just asking for that line item to be readjusted to back what it was 2023. Understood. So I ask that this board at least consider that as a request from the coroner. I yield, Chairman.
Okay, just a couple of things here. Rufus, you said in 2015 there was 126 deaths?
That's correct.
It was actually about 340, 350. I was there at that time. I did also a report which was requested of me in 2016 or in 2017 asking about what was or at the end of 2016, what was the numbers then, and we were at about 363 deaths in 2016. So if you're at 363 now or 395, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying it's not that much of an increase. But my next question is, Madam Coroner, are these employees that you're wanting to hire, are they in place of the current ones that you have now, or are these going to be in addition to?
Replacing.
So you're looking to replace these other 6 that you currently have, plus
I'm looking to replace 3.
you're looking to replace 3. Okay. All right. And what was the total amount that you spent out in regards to payroll for deputy coroners for investigations last year?
Last year was 178,000.
I may just resign this and come work for you because when I was there, luckily if I made 24,000 a year out of all the investigations I did, I guarantee you I did well about half of them. All right, Jim, with that, I'm going to yield. With that, I'm going to yield.
Very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have probate judge Christina Peterson.
Morning, Judge.
Okay, let me see. I have this day. Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm heard. Is that good? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm probate judge Christina J. Peterson. I, unlike a lot of others, have never spoken at a BOC meeting, and I have a lot of notes because I have a lot of things to cover. I'm gonna try not to take up all of your day and all of your time. I've gone 3 years without speaking. 3 years of silence. I got tired of not speaking like Madam Coroner. And I feel like it's a lot of stuff I want to speak about today, and I hope you'll hear me. I know we have new commissioners, and a lot of my comments are not directly to you all, but you are current serving. I'm grateful that you're here, as well as Vice Chair who's been here. There's been 3 years of a lot of lies. There's been 3 years of a lot of rumors, misinformation to the public that has come from whatever rumor mill, come from Facebook, come from Fox 5, come from my counterparts that were, my peers here at the county, just spreading all type of lies. In the end, the truth will reveal itself, and it has been revealing. And I'm here to just push forward the truth a little quicker, if we will. I'm okay. I've been okay with the lies. I've been okay with the complaints, the JQC complaints. I've endured those because I know I'm a woman of God and He covers me. So it's always going to work out. So I've been okay with it, and I sat back and allowed it. But I think sometimes it's good to just kind of put the truth on the table. I was in a JQC trial in which, on my last day of trial, I started crying, and I read some comments that people say, oh, those are crocodile tears. She has crocodile tears. I wasn't crying because I wasn't crying because I'm weak, as Madam Coroner stated. I'm crying because I'm tired. I'm tired of not talking. I'm tired of being attacked and everybody else is playing like they're the victim and making me the suspect, the what you call it, enemy of the state or Douglas County. But if we're going to call those tears crocodile tears, let me tell you about, I think I can say they might be crocodile. Let's see what a crocodile symbolizes. They symbolize wisdom and the protector and keeper of all knowledge. Crocodiles signifies a new beginning of the term of renewal and growth. So I'll accept those tears. and I'm here to discuss a little further why I'm here. First, I want to address, there was a resolution on the table for attorney's fees. I think that was a good resolution to be brought up by one of the commissioners, because if you're an elected official, you're put in a position in which you're responsible for a lot of things. And in my situation as a judge, I'm not only the judge, but I have a staff. So I'm not only responsible for my actions, I'm also responsible for theirs. So if they do something that against my policy, it still can bring liability to Judge Peterson and the probate. We have to be covered. And in the past, we have politicized. I have been politicized. I always have to, thank God the Board of Commissioners spoke on my behalf because I've never had to talk before today. But it's been politicized. Should we pay? Should we give the judge or attorney? Who needs to pay for those attorney's fees? Why would you think that Christina J. Peterson person should pay for probate judge or probate office attorneys? It makes no sense. So I believe that we do need a resolution, and I don't believe there should be a necessarily cap. I believe there should be no cap. It should be, you should have attorney coverage for whatever you need coverage for. In my instance, I got all of these JQC complaints, and if you've been watching the trial, you'll know most of my complaints came within the county. Your chief judge filed most of those complaints. 50 of those complaints, 30 remained. Before the trial even started, they dismissed 20. While we were in the trial, they're trying to dismiss more. What would have happened if I had to pay that money out of my pocket? It's frivolous, it's malicious, and it's evil. That's what it is. Don't throw rocks and hide your hands. I see that happening a lot in this county. I don't know who's behind it, but I think we'll get to it before the end of the day. But I've been okay. I've sat back. I've been called a thief. I've been accused of stealing, not only from the county, I've been accused of stealing from my HOA. We know that went nowhere. If I was accused of stealing, if I was a thief, I would have been in jail. Y'all know that. Sheriff, I know. You know that. I would have been in jail. It's a false claim, and it's nasty, and I would love for the public and anybody who's spreading that rumor to stop. Now, I retained an attorney recently, myself and some of the other constitutional officers. We didn't retain an attorney to cause dysfunction amongst the county. We didn't get an attorney to sue the county. That's not our intentions. We got an attorney because we're tired of being obstructed. We want to do our job. When I came in this office, when I was elected, I made an oath to this county and to the people. But I said, I'm going to run this office and I'm going to do it ethically. Above reproach is what I said, and I've stood to that. But what I'm saying, everything I've done in this county has been obstructed. Everything I've tried to do in this county has been obstructed. When I tried to get software, it was obstructed. When I tried to get budget, it was obstructed. When I tried to get a salary that was equitable to the other judges, obstructed. When I tried to raise the salaries of get the money to raise the salaries of my people, my clerk, obstructed. Everything from bottom to top. When I tried to get carpet for my office, it was obstructed. When I tried to get an attorney, obstructed. All of these obstructions, every day. I got tired of arguing back and forth with your staff. The problem is, I'm always a professional. I'm a professional. When I email you all for services, I'm always kind and cordial. But once you keep getting pushed back and they're in the way and you're not able to do your job, that's when the notices of intent to sue come. That is not a threat. That is not me being disrespectful. That is me exercising my constitutional rights to the courts. I have that right. You don't lose that right because you become a judge. I have that right. I have to run my court the way I have to run it. And I cannot take the county administration directors obstructing me. So now that I have an attorney, hopefully we don't have any more obstructions. But my attorney's been looking into a lot of things, and he actually told me, he said, Judge, and I don't think he was that committed to me or the representation. You know, he's an attorney, but after he's uncovered a lot of stuff in this county, my attorney said, Judge, you got a story to tell. Huh? You see it. My attorney sees it. He sees something. And I do have a story, and it's going to be told. We need attorney fee resolution without a cap, and that's for civil and criminal, because people in this county are throwing rocks and hiding hands. Okay? That's what it is. We didn't have criminal charges on elected officials before whoever here is doing it. It seems like somebody, this county, and persons in this county have tried to railroad. This is my opinion. There's been, it appears, railroading of Madam Chair, Henry Mitchell, Tax Commissioner Baker. There was attempted railroading of the coroner with the GBI investigation and the subpoenas and the grand jury, so the special grand jury they had on her, that I was representing her at that time. Now, did I leave anybody out? Oh, now we got Judge Peterson. Oh, I forgot Commissioner Robinson. There was another attempt. So we need that attorney fee, because what's happening is when you get an opportunity to weaponize and politicize who you can help and who you can't look me in the face and say I'm not. It's nothing against you, Judge Peterson. It's not personal. It's personal. It's something. Now, it might not be race. It might not be gender. It might not be generation. But it's something, because I don't get the same coverage as everyone else. Why is it a conversation when it comes to me? Why is it a conversation when it comes to the coroner? Why is it a conversation when it comes to the tax commissioner? But everybody else gets covered for years. For the history of Douglas County, everyone has gotten coverage. It's never publicized. It was never on the news. It wasn't on the Douglas County Sentinel, who loves to post me. Right? It hasn't been on Fox 5. Everybody's been covered. It ain't right. And I'm going to say that the way I said it. It ain't right. And I have proper grammar. But when it needs to be said that way, I want everybody to hear it. It's not right. Okay? Since we're talking about attorney's fees, I want to go into the allegations against me. There has been I believe, word on the street that I have perhaps done something criminal with my budget, a misspending of my budget. My question here today, there was, I believe I saw on Fox 5, there were allegations that I use my budget for personal expenses. They say car insurance, things like that. And as you all know, I'm a constitutional officer. That's one. As you all know, you give me my budget under line items. As you all know, those line items include travel and car allowance. As you all know, I requested my budget as I was told to request it. I got personal training from Rosalind Miller. As you know, the budget was approved by the prior Board of Commissioners that included a travel and car allowance. I was able to use my budget for that just matter in 2022 with no problems. It was processed by your clerk of this board. It was processed by your purchasing. It was purchased by your finance. Now in 2023, I'm a criminal. How is that? I had a conversation with your county directors. I had Rosalind Miller there. I had your purchasing. I had HR. I had purchasing, finance. I had your chief of staff, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. I asked Director Corbin or David Corbin to come. I've never gotten a response from him, any email, not once. I didn't even know he existed. But I had a meeting with them in regards to this same matter. And I said, now how is it you're not processing my requisition for this item? And I was told, well, you don't have a car allowance. And I said, excuse me, what? And it was, well, you don't have a car allowance. I said, no, let me understand. You got the budget that you emailed to me, and it says travel car allowance. And she said, yeah, and this was Director Miller. You have it. I said, so did I duly request my travel car allowance? She said, yes, you did it right. I said, was it duly approved by the board? She said, yes, that was right. So what do you mean I don't have it? What do you mean? Whatever's going on in this county and these come as you go rules that people are making up in order to try to railroad and call people criminals is unacceptable. My question to you all today is who's behind it? Who here? Because for it to be picked up by the GBI and ever be considered to go anywhere, somebody from this administration had to say, she's doing something illegal. I have 3 years of spending in this county, and you all have come back with nothing. I know you done checked everything. You've come back with nothing but what you all said was a car allowance. So who is behind this administration that's saying, I've done something? Who can stand here today? My attorneys reached out, and since we're talking about resolution, my attorney reached out and asked for a resolution in order for the Douglas County to acknowledge, number one, that I was given a car allowance, and that's part of my budget. It's part of my authority under my budget line item. He also asked you to acknowledge certain other things, and we were told by your county attorney that he won't advise it because it would undermine the GBI's case. Well, the question, are you worried about getting a GBI case, or are you worried about getting to the truth? What we doing, county attorney?
Well, I'm going to let you finish, but I will tell you I never made reference to GBI's case, ever.
Ever? Okay.
In that correspondence.
Okay. All right, but you did tell my attorney you wouldn't. You advised the board against it.
I'm going to let you finish, then I'll respond. But
I'm giving you your time. I want to make sure. I want communication dialogue.
I did say I would advise against that resolution. I said it then, and I said it today, because the resolution was in effect saying that the county was responsible for the expense, but I didn't think that was the case.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was an appropriate resolution for the county. I wouldn't advise it. I don't really want to engage in a conversation.
And thank you for that. I don't think that's what the resolution was asking, to say the county was responsible. It was stating the facts. The facts are, I requested, it was approved, it was utilized. It's been utilized before with no issues. Now you're coming up with some new policy and you're saying I've done some type of violation. To acknowledge that. Are you saying no?
I'm saying that I have not accused you of any violation. Okay.
Well, it's out there. So how would you feel? And I want to pose this question to the people of Douglas County, the citizens of Douglas County. How would you feel if you've always been a high performer, a woman of God. You might not even believe in the Lord. Whatever your moral compass is, to be accused of a crime when you know you haven't done anything. Where did David Corbin go? Is that who it was? Because you all were not here. This was happening before you got here. The only denominator is the administrator. And another thing, The only common denominator is the administrator, who I've never talked to, who's never had a conversation with me, his sentiments about me is probably the same sentiments that Judge Emerson had for me. Judge Emerson said on the stand under oath, he's never talked to me and never will. That's how your county administrator is treating me. And now we have some type of GBI allegation swirling around. I read the Facebook comments. When the commissioners were removed, you got 30 people in this county that say, get Robinson next, get Peterson next, get Coroner next. Hold on. You don't make up criminal charges. You can't weaponize the GBI, the Attorney General, the JQC. You can't weaponize these agencies to overwrite the will of the voters. This county elected me. This county elected the coroner. The county elected the tax commissioner. Don't let 30 people, 30 malicious, frivolous people make your rulings, because that's how we've been treated in this county. It's 30 people. I would say no more than 30. It's 30 people on Facebook that got negative stuff to say. But the majority of this county, they support me. They support my office. They support the probate. They love my office. They love my staff. They love me. They come. They talk to me. And even the people who didn't or who prejudged me, guess what? When they come to my courtroom or they come, wow, Judge, I didn't know you were, you can't judge people before you talk to them. And I've allowed the lies to circulate throughout this county for 3 years, and even before then, but I didn't have a microphone. I appreciate the opportunity to get this microphone today, but I did pose a question, and I wonder if we have an answer. Because my attorney has reached out to the GBI. My attorney has reached out to the Attorney General and said, hey, we would like to talk to you and provide information. We haven't gotten any responses back. I believe what's happening is you're allowing this GBI allegation to swirl over my head to muddy my reputation. It's unacceptable. Who from this administration can say I've done something criminal with my budget? Is there a purchasing or a finance that said I've done anything criminal with my budget? That I spent something I wasn't supposed to spend? That's not rhetorical. I'm asking because obviously somebody's talking behind the scenes, because it wouldn't even got to a GBI subpoena without somebody telling them it was wrong. But in my conversations with them, they're telling me it was right. That's unacceptable. Don't railroad me. I was talking to, my supporters have to watch this. They watch me on the news. One of my people said, it sounds like there's a public lynching in Douglasville. He was referring to me. I'm not gonna be up there. It's not happening. So I would ask for my commissioners to adopt a resolution that acknowledges the fact that I requested a budget that included the travel and car allowance, and it was approved. And that was how it was utilized, so nothing there would have been criminal. Now, if there's other things that I don't know as a probate judge, internal policies that you all have on how y'all want to make our allowances, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't be privy unless you told me. But don't accuse me of being a criminal. If you have a policy that I don't know about, how would I know? Whose job is to do it? It's not probate. I did what I was requested. I requested my budget. It was approved. I used it. And you have not been able to look at my budget and see any other things that of a concern, unless you're trying to make one. You haven't been able to get me down with the JQC complaints. It's going nowhere, okay? I'm learning, but I have not done anything intentional. I haven't done anything criminal. I haven't done anything malicious. All right? So that's what I would ask. I would ask for you to consider that. Now let's talk about my budget. When I asked for my budget, and I want to point out a point that why is it that every time we have these conversations,
Point of order.
yes,
I want you to get it all out, but we do have to go into executive session.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask you if you could just
I
tell
will.
us what you need it for,
Budget.
and then we'll consider it.
Correct. With the budget, every time we get to these conversations, it seems like it's the same people having to come before you. It seems like some people's stuff just rolls and others are not. It seems to be the same three people: tax commissioner, coroner, and probate. So in my budget, I see that mostly it looks right of what I requested. However, there was a recommended decrease of 13,400 and something. And then, as I stated previously, and I contacted and been in communications with your finance, you all raised the salaries for my staff, but you didn't put the money back in the budget. Like you took it from what I had. And so that, again, that will draw away from the other opportunities of positions that I have. So in essence, it was 30 with your raises that you gave. It was about 30,000, and that wasn't restored in my budget. And then I asked for the same budget last year, just with some reallocations, but the proposal was, I think, negative 13,798. I would like that restored, plus that 30,000 that was not put it back. So it would be 45 kind of thousand in all, but the real number, like I said, 13,798 was what they left off. And I couldn't input that because that's the finance that was coming over from the salaries and benefits. And then the raises that we're giving, that my budget wasn't restored, the exact number was 29,232.01. So $29,232.01. I would like that. It's necessary. Even though we didn't necessarily utilize my entire budget this year, as you can see, as I explained to this county in the constitutional officer retreat, I have no legal support. There is no class of court in the history of Georgia that doesn't have legal support. I am the only person, I'm the only attorney in my office. Every other probate judge in District 3 probates, which includes all the Metro Atlanta courts, they're all Article 6 like myself. All of them have associate judges. All of them have staff attorneys. I'm the only one who is just me. Just me. I need to get people. You get people complaining on Facebook saying, well, it takes her 1 million years to, it's just me. So last week, or couple of weeks ago, when I had the first jury trial in Douglas County in probate, guess who has to sign the orders when I'm in court all week? Nobody. I'm the only one that can do it. So I need that money to staff my office. A staff attorney is the first opportunity, but like I said, I can make it work with what I have. We have jury trial. I didn't know that the clerk of Superior Court, she's not funding my jurors. So when she impaneled them for me, and I'm grateful for her services, but she made me pay her back to pay the jurors. So that's an expense of the probate. So I want you to look at the data I have provided. Stop listening to people's opinion. Because as you said, as they testified under oath, I know nothing about probate or their function. I'm telling you, we have more cases than any other court in this courthouse. Well, me. So I need staff. I need support. And I also made a salary request, and I stand on that for myself. I stand on that. And it looks like it might be considered, not sure. I know the tax commissioner asked for his, and it hasn't been mentioned, but I stand on that. It's very important. Don't say I don't do work. I'm overworked. I told my staff that I would be speaking today, and their question was, they want to know, has the administration always felt this way about probate? Or was it just when I got in office? Because they feel like you don't value them. That's my staff. That's what they're saying. We value arresting people and locking people up. But we don't value when people lose their families, their loved ones, and guardianships and conservatorships. We don't value those services. We don't value a chaplain for the coroner's office for them to pray, somebody to pray for these families. But they can have a chaplain at the jail, the inmates can, but the families of Douglas County can't. It doesn't make sense. So I'm asking today for my budget as I requested, plus the amount that was not restored. I'm asking for everything I asked at the constitutional officer retreat, with all due respect. And I'm asking for you to include probate in 1 Douglas. Any questions? Thank you all. Yes?
So your total request is?
20. So I asked for the amount. So everything was right. It looks like how it was proposed, but 13,798 was left off of the salaries, and I need to be restored somewhere. I don't even care where you put it, but it was $29,232.01.
$29,232 was for?
That came out of salaries. So yes, it came out of salaries as well.
So you are requesting $13,700 plus $1,200 put back into salaries so that you can staff it.
That's right. Right. Thank you all.
Next.
Chairman, we need to double back, I'm sorry, to the MOU for CSB that we had added at the beginning of the meeting. Commissioner Alcaraz.
Yes, ma'am. Do I need to make a motion on this again, or do we?
Now, I think they just want a discussion on it since we've already added it to the agenda.
Okay, the discussion, as stated previously, was we know that there's $500,000 left to be dispersed to the CSB. We also awarded them for 2024 another $225,000. This would be a $250,000 disbursement on December 31st, or as discussed, as soon as the MOU is signed, another $250,000 to be dispersed on March 31st of 2024, another $225,000. The balance to be dispersed on June 30th of 2024, and quarterly reporting back to finance to come to the Board of Commissioners. That's going to be what I like. Agenda. Any discussion?
I have a question. Can y'all hear me? Oh no.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, my question is, so the 250, the payments that you discussed will be distributed quarterly, but then does this include or does it not include the 500? Because I heard you say that at the beginning, the 500,000 that still needs to be dispersed for 2023, or is that included, or is that going to be just distributed separately as soon as possible?
My understanding that's the 250 and the 250 are part of that 500.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. So, Commissioner Alcaraz, I believe you are stating that the 2023 allocation CSB dispersed in 2024 instead of 2023. Is that what you're proposing?
No, the 250 would be dispersed in this year, then the first quarter of next year, the other 250, and then the 225. So yes, the part of that 500 to be dispersed the first quarter of next year.
So earlier in the conversation that we had, I put out that the $500,000 that the board prior to you appropriated for CSB be dispersed today. That's not into 2024. What is being proposed for 2024 on the budget that's before us is only $225,000. That has nothing to do with the appropriation for 2023. So I'm trying to understand why are you conflating those two, or why are you putting
To disperse the money equally so that we can follow this to make sure that finance, CSB get on board together with quarterly reporting for us, and at the end of the 225 on June the 30th or before the June 30th, that we take a look at this in regards to additional funding for funding them back to keep them to going at the 1.2.
Okay, so I'm still not following you. CSB does give us quarterly reporting. So the $500,000 that is due to them now has nothing to do with the 2024 budget they're reporting. They have already reported to us quarterly for the $500,000. So that should be expended in 2023. So I don't understand why we would be breaking up the 2023 payments and putting them into 2024. That
Okay.
doesn't make good. That doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't make good accounting sense. We need to close out our books for 2023, and we need to fulfill the MOUs that we put forth for 2023. So I'm not understanding why you want to break up the $500,000 payment and put it into 2024.
Well, as I stated previously, I have not received any quarterly reporting for them. So no, I did not know that there was any quarterly reporting coming from them. I am requesting that going forward.
So I think Director Lightfoot already told you that he would include you on the quarterly reporting if he has not. So again, my directive to Ms. Miller was to release the $500,000 for the 2023, and then my ask of the board, which is the four of us, including Commissioner Dobbs, hopefully he hears me, is to restore them to the 1.2 million, not the 225 that's in the budget now. So I don't want to conflate the two.
No, understood. But again, I think it's important because of the request from some of our citizens who raise concerns about this, that this be broken up so that we can assure, because if for some reason, and I'm not saying that it is, but looking from the outside or from anybody, from my business, I'm going to prepare myself to where if something does not come around, that I have the right amount of funds to cover anything I might be penalized on. So going back, and I'm not saying that this has happened, but if for some reason we do not pass, or if we did not pass that ARPA funds money, we would have to pay out that 1.2 million back to the ARPA funds. And I'm not saying that they've done anything wrong, but I was doing this to cover us so that if we did have to pay that back out, this money here keeps them going in regards to their funds.
Commissioner Alcaraz, with all due respect, ARPA money and general fund money are two separate buckets. I think that's why I keep reiterating what I'm reiterating, so that the staff and the citizens who are watching, and also you, because I know you weren't here, understands that when you appropriate, let me break it down this way. Whatever we appropriate for 2024 budget in regards to every department that came up here, including the probate, including the tax commissioner, including the coroner, including procurement department, all of those are included in the 2024 budget. That will be dispersed in 2024. We don't need to take 2024 funds that we disperse to the procurement department, and because there may be a finding with the PCAR audit, we don't need to deduct it from their 2025 allocation. Does that make sense? It doesn't. You have to ensure that the MOU that we signed on the 19th of December for the CSB board for $1.2 million is carried out. It's not, we can't ding them, one, for something that has not been proven to you, me, or any person up here that they have violated. Two, they already give us quarterly reporting. 3, you sit on the CSB board, so you've also seen the reporting that Mr. Lyford and Ms. Henry has given us. 4, the services that they provide, they cannot provide on $225,000 going into 2024. So all of these are separate things. ARPA funds is totally separate from the general fund. Totally, I wish we wouldn't even have gotten into this discussion. I wish finance would have never brought this up to the chairman and to others, because that is bad accounting principle. Just bad. It's just bad. I understand they want to protect us, but we as a board of commissioner has a rainy day fund, we got contingency fund, we have different pots. So we as a board of commissioners should have been given from the finance board, 1, the documentation that says, hey, we didn't pass the audit, or here are the findings. And then 2, board of commissioners, we recommend that you take it from this pot or whatever pot that you see fit, if that came to be. That has not come to be. We have not had any findings. So again, why are we sitting here dinging our only community service provider for every single person in this county? I don't get it. And I don't want to fuss. I don't want to feel like I'm fussing, but I feel like I am the only person sitting up here who understands general funding, federal funding, contingency funding, rainy day funding. It is frustrating for me. So I don't want to ding you. I don't want to not support you or not support the chair or not support our finance department. But again, we signed an MOU with CSB to carry out the services. They have given us the reporting. They have given us receipts. They have uploaded documents for ARPA, which is separate from our general fund. What more do you want that board to do to satisfy you so that they can continue to provide the services for this county? I already gave the directive to the finance department to cut the check for $500,000, which is owed from the 2023 budget allocation. What really should be before us is what we're going to give them for 2024, period. We cannot renege on something we already appropriated for because somebody said to stop it, or somebody said to take it from one pot and put it into another. That's not right. That's not how you do accounting. Please, for the love of God, this board has got to understand that we are the board of commissioners. We were elected or appointed here. However you got here, we make the decisions for appropriating. Don't ding the CSB for something that might happen that has not happened, and fulfill the commitment that has already been put forth before you got here, before Chairman Miller got here, before Dobbs got here. We don't have the right to dishonor the amendment or the MOU that came out of the general fund. We don't. With that, I yield.
Thank you.
Chairman. Hang on,
Mr. Lightford, would you approach?
Chairman, real quick.
Yeah.
Did you not agree to my sub-amendment last week or the last previous meeting? This is exactly what I said. You said, I accept your friendly amendment.
I accepted your friendly amendment with regards to reporting, and I hesitated doing that because I thought you were getting the report.
No.
So that's why I hesitated. I looked at you and I'm like, okay, well, but we already get the reports. So why are you adding that we need to get reports? But I didn't understand at that time you weren't getting the reports. So that's why I said, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
But I also stated about breaking up the payments along with that. That was also stated, and you agreed with me.
That was for 2024 1.2, had nothing to do with the 500,000.
Mr. Lightford.
Yes, Chairman.
Having been fairly new here and not aware of everything that was going on, but when you and I finally met on Saturday, we discussed in depth. I got to know you a little bit, and you got to know me a little bit, and I think we both agreed that we were both professionals, and that And I didn't know where Vice Chair Carthen was headed. I had heard from Mark about the 250, the 250, and the 225. I suggested that to you, and you and I shook hands on it, and you agreed that that would be fine. Is that correct?
That was correct. And considering, I was thinking you're talking about the 2024 budget, and then we talked about the 500,000. This is what I want to share. Commissioner, I spent that money. The Family Resource Center, the Youth Innovation Center, the co-responder program. I paid for the county's bill up front because the MOU detailed those services. I haven't been reimbursed. So I don't know what receipt we're looking for. That's as honest as I can get. I did everything that I said I was going to do within the MOU. I didn't get reimbursed.
Both of you are on the board? Ever meet? Okay, well, all right. Thank you, sir. You answered my question.
Oh, no problem.
Chairman, I have a
I'm
question.
scared of her.
I just want to make a clarification about the reporting. There are two separate pots of funds, the opera funds, the $1,050,000. Now, the $1.2 million for fiscal year 2023, you gave us $700,000. I've reported that to Gia Hobson and the finance team. I wasn't even told to submit it to the commissioners. Now, the opera funds, I submitted all that reporting to the commissioners. Now, the remaining fiscal year 2023, I'm confused and don't understand why you want to split it up the way you're doing. And I agree with Commissioner Carthen regarding that. Now, I stopped reporting on that because we stopped receiving the funds. There was nothing to report. So if you start back and give us the remaining $500,000, we've been spending the money out of our general fund and reserve. I can then submit you a report. But for that $700,000, that was reported upon.
All right. I don't know how we're going to get from where you're trying to be to where you're.
So, question.
So I need a little help.
Commissioner Dobbs is asking to speak.
Commissioner Dobbs.
Yes, this question is for county administrator and county attorney. Just for a point of clarification, because I was under the impression, or my thought behind the 500K from 2023 was withheld due to the lack of receipts or reporting, which was said to be like not compliant. And then what we were discussing as far as the MOU for going forward with the split disbursements or the installments were for 2024. So is that not the case? Because I feel like, I don't know, part of me felt like it's a misunderstanding, and I feel like we need some kind of clarity on what we're discussing as far as the MOU going forward for 2024.
I can address the portion of what you said regarding the MOU 2023 and the funds being withheld. My understanding was that the funds were being not dispersed so that they would, in the event of a set-off, we had responsibility, and we had funds and be funds that could be set off. My understanding is that the agreement that I thought had been reached would provide for that disbursement so that there wouldn't be any violation of MOU or anything, because they're going to be dispersed. That's what I understood. Now, and one of the things I also want to clarify messages about it at the.
As a point of clarification, I also wanted to point out that I've had a couple of questions about the directive to issue a check today. The code provides that the Board of Commissioners is responsible for the administration of the government solely through the sorry about that, solely through the chair. So, such that I would think that either the chair or the full board would have to be able to give a directive on a day-to-day operational basis. So that's one, just a point of clarification in response to questions that I received. So secondly, I'll repeat what I said earlier, is that I had not understood that the money was not going to be disbursed. The award from 2023, I had understood that it was being withheld in the event of a set-off. If a set-off became necessary with respect to the payment of funds on the ARPA amount. And I think, under Georgia law, set-offs are okay. So I just want to clarify those points.
Okay, so with that set off, that means that once we receive the proper documentation or those receipts that were requested, then those funds could then be dispersed.
Sure, and in fact, as I understood the agreement, they were going to be disbursed under that agreement. And I understand that, assuming there are no issues with respect to any liability of the county, that it would ultimately also still be dispersed. So that's my understanding.
Okay, and then so that covers that 500K. But as far as the 2024 budget for CSB, that is any of that in question within this dispersing of the 250, then the 225?
As I understand the agreement, the 225 would be the 224 allocation, with some understanding by the parties that if after that point there are additional needs, that the board would consider hearing additional requests. That's my understanding from the agreement that I understood had been reached this weekend. It's been documented in that respect. So the agreement would provide that, assuming that the backup documentation is making progress and proceeding, there'll be disbursement of the first part of the 500 this year. If it's continuing correctly, then there'll be a disbursement of the second part of the 2023 allocation, the beginning of next year. Then the 2024 allocation will be made in June, and then the parties will consider whether or not additional disbursements or allocations are appropriate. The board and CSB would have some discussions about that point. That's what I understood. I haven't been involved directly in the negotiations, but that's what I understood.
Good.
Okay, thank you, County Attorney. I yield, Chairman.
Attorney Coleman, do we need to go into executive session?
We have one quick item for executive session, Chairman. And
Need a motion to go into executive session. Discuss what?
discuss a real estate matter.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for.
Second.
We'll adjourn the work.
Motion and a second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Opposed, same. We'll now adjourn the work session and the executive